This kid has a draining night job, so when he arrives at school, the popular kids are already there. But you gotta see this. Aragi Kai just strolls right past them without a single word. Even when Mito Shuji says hello, Kai doesn't even pretend to be friendly. Which is why the girls say there's no point greeting guys like him. For Kai, every conversation is just a total waste of energy. But inside the classroom, this punk Arashi demands everyone show him some respect. But Kai, he could not care less about these people. Arashi gets totally furious, yelling at him and asking if he's deaf. But when Arashi tries to grab Kai, he gets a nasty surprise from our main character's reaction. Kai lets out a huge shout, yanking his arm free. Then he silences the bully with a simple squeeze of the wrist. When Arashi finally pulls away, he has second thoughts about messing with this kid any further. For now, the bully was definitely spooked. But when a girl calls him noisy, Arashi goes right back to being a complete jerk. After all, it's just a girl to him. But then Mistre steps in. She's from the disciplinary council and she has authority. So the bully sits down but props his feet on the desk like a punk. What these students don't know is why Aragi Kai is so exhausted he has a forbidden job at night. A criminal had just escaped the police, but he couldn't escape Kai's blade. That's his real job. Of course, Kai would never use those skills at school. But everything's changed when he felt something was wrong. His instincts screamed danger. A blue light flashed across the classroom floor. And now here's where it gets crazy. The entire class gets teleported. They wake up in what looks like an old castle. Everyone is passed out on the ground. Kai is the first to wake up, spotting stone walls, massive pillars, and only a single exit. Soon the other students start waking up too. Panic erupts, but Shuji steps up to calm everyone down. Kai's actually relieved Shuji is there to keep the class from falling apart. But then Arashi stands up, shouting they can't waste time, and telling his lackeys to follow him. Kai stops him, warning that he hears footsteps coming from behind the door. He senses a man and a woman approaching. And just as he predicted, the door opens and in walks a girl and an old man. They look like they're straight out of some medieval fantasy, wearing strange old-fashioned robes and capes. The girl greets them, calling them impressive hero candidates. The students are completely stunned. Kai sizes them up fast. The old man has the build of a swordsman and is clearly on high alert. The girl, though, seems pretty normal to Kai, despite being surprisingly muscular. She introduces herself as Leonora, the Archbishop of the Holy Country of Digarest. The man with her is Gas, her personal knight. Arashi immediately pipes up, saying he's never heard of Digarest and asking if she's messing with them. Leonora calmly assures him she is not. Shuji steps in, explaining that they're all just a little freaked out after suddenly appearing here. So the girl starts laying it all out. She explains they've been summoned to a parallel world. They are humanity's last hope against the evil demon king. They're this world's hero candidates. Yeah, you can imagine how well the students took that news. Gas immediately tells Arashi to watch his tone when speaking to the nation's saint. Arashi doesn't back down, which makes Gas draw his sword, but Leonora stops him. Then, out of nowhere, Arashi lunges right at Gas. Kai can't believe his audacity. But before Arashi can even land a punch, Gas is just too fast. He swings his sword, leaving a small cut on Arashi's head before anyone even saw him move. Leonora quickly apologizes for Gas's aggressive actions. She says she'll explain everything in detail, but first they all need to be quiet and listen. Leonora's calm demeanor suddenly disappears, replaced by a much more intimidating vibe. She reveals the devastating truth. The Demon King's invasion has humanity on the verge of total extinction. The country of Digarest is still fighting, but they just don't have the strength to hold back the invasion much longer. Kai, meanwhile, is thinking this all sounds like a pretty generic setup. Leonora continues telling them they are humanity's very last hope. The students immediately protest, arguing they can't do this since none of them have ever fought before. Some of the girls are already crying. Gas steps forward, saying, "It may seem impossible, but you have to try." Then he drops an absolute bombshell. There is no way for them to return to their world unless they defeat the Demon King. And trust me, that one comment changes everything. The news hits the students like a ton of bricks, leaving them in total shock. Kai suspects Gas only said that to motivate them. He knew that people who've lived peaceful lives couldn't just become killers. That takes talent and experience. Meanwhile, Arashi stands up. Blood is still on his head as he curses them out for trying to order them around. Arashi then tells them he hates people just like them. Gas saw it. Arashi's spirit was far from broken. He thought, hey, this guy might actually be a decent warrior. But then he grips his sword. Nah, too much risk. He decides to end Arashi right here, right now. Before he can even swing, Leonora is already there, healing Arashi's wounds with a strange light. She explains this power is called the system, a gift from the gods. To put it simply, It's magic, just like in their world. Kai immediately picks up on that. She knows about their world, meaning this probably isn't her first time summoning people. Walking over to Shuji, she tells them this system is exactly why they're here. She raises her hands, and bam, Shuji's wrist starts glowing. A blade made of pure light materializes in his hand. She explains they can all use this system's power to awaken their own innate divine protection. Leonora then admits she has a selfish request. They've been brought here and now they can't go back. So she asks them to lend her their strength, but Shuji points out they can't just start fighting with zero experience. She promises they'll be trained and completely looked after while they're here. And just like that, Shuji steps up. He tells his classmates he knows they're scared, but they need intel and safety first. For now, he says they should hear Leonora out, and the whole class agrees with him. Now this is where it gets interesting. Seeing them on board, Leonora starts handing out their divine powers. Mur gets telekinesis. Arashi gets the power of explosion. Rina is granted fire magic. Yoshia gets wind, and everyone else gets their own wild abilities. Leonora asks if anyone's left, and Kai slowly raises his hand. She gives him his power. Instantly, Kai's vision warps. The second the power settles in, he can see something new. He can read Leonora's stats. Then Kai's eyes flash a deep crimson. Leonora explains he has a super rare power. It's called Judgment, letting him see the stats and details of any target. So of course Kai tries it on himself. And yup, he can see his own stats right there. Arashi tries out his new powers, then immediately mocks Kai for just getting a new eye color. Kai glances around, noticing how arrogant and full of themselves the other students have become. He finds it hilarious. I mean, they know absolutely nothing about this new world. Plus those powers are just borrowed, they could be gone in a flash. But Kai, he's completely calm. He knows he's got plenty of other ways to handle things, if you know what I mean. Once everyone is powered up, Leonora sends them off to rest. That night, the so-called heroes are shown to their rooms. But you and I both know Kai isn't just going to sleep. He slips out his window, ready to dig up some real information. Outside, he overhears a couple of guards patrolling and talking trash. They're laughing about how weak the new hero candidates look. They can't believe these kids are supposed to take down the Demon King. One guard just grumbles that the Saints must have a reason. Kai listens in on the whole thing. He then activates his judgment power on one of the guards. The guy's skills, just basic swordsmanship. With that intel, Kai silently moves on, still hunting for more answers. Kai also figures out this city is basically a fortress. He wants to get inside the inner castle, but the gates are locked down tight. Way too many guards. Trying to sneak in now would be suicide, so he decides to play it cool and come back later. Meanwhile, in a clearing, Rina is scouting a practice spot with her two lackeys. They're there to test out their awesome new powers. The three of them start summoning their elements, trying to get a feel for them. Rina is determined to master this divine protection stuff. Kai watches them from a bush hidden from sight. Then he feels that something is wrong. The girls hear a rustling from the bushes too. Suddenly, a massive lizard creature bursts out. It was clearly drawn to the raw magic they were throwing around. Kai immediately uses judgment to scan the monster, and his eyes go wide. Its stats are absolutely insane. The creature lets out a roar and immediately charges. It starts chasing the girls down. Kai quickly analyzes it. Sure, it's strong and aggressive, but it only moves in a straight line. Not very bright. Kai whips a knife, and it sinks deep into the monster's thick hide. Just then, Rina trips and hits the ground hard. The beast closes in, ready to crush her, but then it just stops frozen in place. The girls look up and see a knife sticking straight out of the monster's head, blood pouring out. They have no idea who saved them, but they're not sticking around to find out. They get out of there fast. Kai didn't really have a reason to save them, but he just couldn't watch them die. He realizes if monsters this strong are just wandering around this world is no joke. He walks over to the body to pull out his knife. When he feels it again, someone is watching him. Kai ducks behind the massive corpse, scanning the area but sees nothing. For now, he just decides to head back to his room, and to stay out of any more trouble. The second he's gone, a figure steps out from the shadows, totally hidden in a dark robe. You can't even make out a face. This person then smashes the monster's head, crushing its eyes right out. They mutter to themselves, disgusted by how useless these so-called hero candidates are. But stick with me, because then, they notice Kai. He has the exact same smell. The next morning, Gas rolls in with a nasty surprise, the monster's corpse. Every single hero candidate is stunned to see something like that up close. Gas explains that the creature was discovered dead near the royal capital last night. He says the Demon King has driven these things absolutely insane, giving them an uncontrollable hunger for human flesh. He warns the candidates that they'll be fighting monsters just like this one. Gas then turns to Steady, one of the researchers, asking if he found anything strange. Steady confirms it. There are definite traces of sorcery, probably from a pretty powerful demon, a mid-grade one maybe, even higher. He figures the demons are just scouting the new, weaker hero candidates. Kai, meanwhile, is listening. He wonders what sorcery is, and how it's different from magic. Shuji immediately jumps in asking if a demon was controlling the monster. Steady confirms that powerful demons can easily control weaker monsters with servitude spells. Gas then drags Steady off even though the guy clearly wanted to keep talking. Kai immediately clocks Steady as a vital source of information. He needs to get close to him. Then it hits Kai like a truck. Those eyes he felt last night, that was a demon, and a highly skilled one at that, because Kai barely even sensed its presence. He gets this chilling feeling it might still be lurking nearby, and you and I know he's probably right. Maybe even watching them this very second. He feels a stare on his back. Arashi tells Gaia that they can't even think about going home until the demon is dead because he is not staying in this world forever. The other students are quick to agree. Kai thinks it's a good thing everyone is finally realizing what's at stake. Right then, Leonora walks in telling them all to calm down. They just don't know how to properly use their new powers. Yet that's it. A little bit of training is all it's going to take. Since they're from another world, their growth rate will be on a completely different level. A week flies by, and the students are deep in training mode. Kai, however, is busy devouring books in the library. He can already read and understand the new language perfectly. Honestly, he still finds it bizarre that they can even communicate in the first place. His judgment skill isn't exactly built for combat, so while everyone else is training, he gets unlimited access to the library. But he can't find many books on this world's history, culture, or especially about demons. The top 5 students are Narumi, with wind Arashi, with his explosions, Kaki, with telekinesis Hashimoto, controlling earth, and Reina, who commands fire. But there's someone else whose power is skyrocketing at an insane rate. Shuji. That's the one. He's rapidly becoming stronger than even his own sword instructors. Kai uses his judgment skill and sees Shuji's stats are all above B grade, a massive leap from his D grade stats last week. Suddenly a couple of guys walk up to Kai and start giving him trouble. He's noticed more people looking down on him lately. Their new powers are clearly going straight to their heads. One of the guys tries to shove Kai, but Kai just effortlessly flips him to the ground. Just then, Leonora and Gas appear at the training grounds. Okay, I know what you're thinking, time for the next phase. Leonora announces that since everyone's leveled up faster than expected, they're moving the schedule up. Narumi asks if this means they're fighting the Demon King, but Leonora just shakes her head. For now, they're just going to practice on monsters. You can feel the tension in the air. The next day, Gas and Leonora lead the candidates deep into a forest. Gas explains, this is for live combat drills. This area is swarming with powerful creatures, so they can't move as one big unit. Because of that, they're splitting up into teams of 2 or 3. The second he says that everyone scrambles to form their own groups, leaving only Kai and Kanaki without a team. So they have no choice but to pair up. Kai can tell Kaki is confident, a little cold and extremely proud. She even catches him looking her way. At that moment, Leonora announces a special prize. The team that takes down the most monsters will get a surprise reward. A few moments later, the combat drills officially begin. As they start moving, Kaki tells Kai that her powers are on another level, so she really doesn't need his help. She just warns him not to get in her way. Kai just agrees, saying he'll leave it all to her. Kaki looks stunned, asking if he has any pride at all. Just then, Kai senses 4 creatures hiding nearby. And just like that, one of them charges, and trust me, it's about to go down. With the goblins cornered, Kaki unleashes her power, an ability called Domination that lets her control anyone. She just tells the goblin to bow, and it instantly obeys. But a few minutes later, Kaki is totally wiped out. Turns out, using her power for too long completely drains her mana. Kai tells her to just end it already. Especially since another monster is closing in, but Kaki stalls, saying the creature looks a little too human. Kai snaps her back to reality, reminding her it's a monster that was just about to kill them. He grabs a rock, thinking Kaki is just some sheltered kid from Japan not ready for this world. But as he's weighing the stone, 3 more goblins suddenly pop out of nowhere. Kaki forces them all to bow, then yells at Kai to actually help instead of just watching. Kai fires back that she's the one who told him to stay out of it. She sighs, then orders the goblins to snap their own necks. And just like that, they're gone. Kai is speechless, and Kaki explains her power. The more complex the command, the harder it is to execute. The dead goblins freak her out, but Kai gives her some solid advice. She asks how he stays so calm, especially since he doesn't have any powers. Kai just shrugs it off, saying it's his specialty. He then asks if she wants to quit, thinking she's probably terrified. But of course her pride kicks in and she completely denies it. Kai can see right through her act though. He has to admit she's tougher than she looks. Meanwhile, Narumi and Hashimoto are running for their lives from a monster. Escape is impossible, so they decide they have no choice but to fight back together. They launch a massive boulder using their wind and rock powers, but watch this, it does absolutely nothing. They're completely cornered with no idea how to survive this thing. Back with our group, Kaki is daydreaming. She just wants to go home and make her grandpa proud of how strong she's become. Kai breaks her trance. He asks if she's ready to keep moving, warning her they could easily get lost. Of course, this leads to more bickering. Kenzaki just can't figure out why Kai is so frustratingly mysterious. In the middle of their argument, a loud crash echoes. Kaki immediately recognizes that sound, it's Hashimoto. Kai asks what the plan is and Kaki doesn't hesitate. They have to help. Over at the fight, the monster just sent Hashimoto flying, leaving her bleeding on the ground. Hashimoto screams for Narumi to run, but it's way too late. The beast is already lunging for him. Kaki arrives just in time, using her power to freeze the monster in place. Narumi thanks her for the save, but Kaki warns him that this creature is on another level, she can't hold it for long. Kai asks if Hashimoto is still alive. Narumi says yes, but she's in really bad shape. Kai tells him to grab her and run. Narumi hates the idea of leaving, but one look at Hashimoto tells him he has no other choice. As he flees, Kai secretly activates his own power to analyze the monster's stats. And yeah, they're insane. Kai instantly realizes his attacks won't even scratch this thing. He also sees it's a mutant of some kind. He's wondering what it is when Kaki screams that she's losing her grip. Kai says she bought them enough time. Now it's their turn to run. She agrees, but her legs won't cooperate. She's completely out of juice from holding back that monster. Okay, this is where you and I get to see Kai's real skills. He whips out a smoke grenade and pops it, using the chaos to grab Kenzaki and disappear from sight. She asks him what that was. He tells her it was just a smoke bomb he made during their training sessions. But that's a total lie. Kai brought professional gear with him from before he was even summoned to this world. His supplies are limited, so he's saving them for life or death situations. It's standard assassin equipment. Kaki starts to apologize, saying it's her fault for dragging them into this mess. Kai shuts her down, telling her not to apologize but to thank him instead. And just like that, they're arguing again. She thinks they should escape, but he flat out refuses. Right then, Shuji and the others show up. Without even thinking, Shuji charges in, furious that the beast hurt his friends and lands a solid hit. The monster's hand is wounded. Rina joins in, blasting it with her fire magic. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does slow the monster down just enough for everyone else to attack it again. All this time, someone has been watching them from the shadows. Turns out it's a veteran demon assassin named Delphus. And let me tell you, this guy changes everything. He just smirks, knowing these kids are growing way too fast to be ignored. I have to admit, they were surprisingly calm, especially Shuji. This was supposed to be a simple scouting run, but Delphus had other plans. He was going to finish them all right here and now. But while he was busy scheming, Shuji and the team managed to drop the monster. Delphus just grinned, ready to make his move. But before he could even twitch, a dagger was pressed right against his throat. It was Kai. You and I are about to see this plan fall apart. Delphus was totally stunned, no idea how Kai had snuck up behind him so fast. He was trapped. He desperately looked for a way out, but Kai was faster, slicing his legs and throwing him to the ground. Kai told him to keep it down, he didn't want Shuji's group to notice them yet. He offered a deal, answer his questions, and he'd let him go. Delphus didn't want to break, but let's be real, Kai had him completely cornered. Kai then asked if Delphus was the one who'd been spying on him the other night. He revealed he knew they were being watched. His whole strategy was to let the others fight, just to draw out the observer hiding in the shadows. Kai cut him off, saying he needed information since they were total newcomers to this world. Delphus had to talk, but Delphus just smirked and refused. So Kai slashed his hands too, telling him cooperation would be a lot easier. The assassin warned Kai not to underestimate him. Then he swallowed a hidden poison, dying instantly. And this right here is when we realize just how hardcore the Demon King's army really is. Suddenly, Kaki appeared, completely shocked to find a dead body. Kai asked how long she'd been watching. She replied that she saw the whole thing from the moment he was on the ground. Kai explained that the dead demon was an assassin sent by the Demon King's army. He added that the monster they just fought was nothing more than a pawn, and even the first lizard monster was his doing. Kaki got a chill down her spine, realizing the Demon King was actively trying to eliminate the hero candidates. She asked how Kai noticed the assassin. Kai figured there was no reason to keep it a secret. He confessed that his family was in the assassination business, so he could literally smell someone from the same line of work. Kaki was totally speechless at the news. Kai told her she could believe him or not, that was her call. but he asked her not to tell anyone about the body, especially since the others were already freaked out over Hashimoto's condition. She agreed. She then remarked that she didn't realize he cared so much about them. Kai replied, "It's just that they aren't used to this kind of fighting, not like he is." Meanwhile, Hashimoto was in terrible shape, laid out on the ground and seriously hurt. The other candidates were all gathered around her. A student named Hano stepped up using her healing magic to treat Hashimoto's wounds. Everyone watched completely amazed at what she could do. Hano then shared the good news Hashimoto would be healed in about an hour. As the hero candidates started celebrating Shuji's big win, Leonora and Gas casually walked in. The students immediately cornered them, demanding to know where they'd been and why they hadn't bothered to help. Gas simply explained that he'd been watching them the entire time. "And honestly, I think you and I know this excuse is about to cause some problems." He said it wouldn't be very good practice if he just jumped in to save them every time things got rough. Shuji fired back, pointing out that Hashimoto was on the verge of death. But Gas was unmoved, explaining that putting your life on the line is just a normal part of military training. He told them flat out, this is the new reality. So they needed to quit their whining. Shuji pressed on, asking how an armored monster appeared in a low-level area. Leonora chimed in, suggesting it was probably the work of the demon assassin, since those monsters didn't belong there. Not knowing Kai already handled the threat, Gas and Leonora decided they needed to beef up their defenses. Leonora wasn't done being the tough commander, adding that they needed to seriously increase their training level. She bluntly said that with their current strength they would all just die. This sent a wave of panic through the group. Shuji tried to reason with her, but she was firm. Getting stronger was the only way they were going to survive. Arashi wasn't having any of it. He hated being ordered around and stepped up to challenge Leonora, but Gaia stopped him. He reminded them they were all just pawns for Leonora and had no right to question her commands. Things were getting heated. Shuji quickly intervened to calm Arashi down, knowing they really had no choice but to obey for now. Goss seemed impressed by Shuji. He then told the candidates they were important assets to the country, promising no harm would come to them as long as they acted properly. Arashi still wasn't buying it. He unleashed a blast of his power at Gas, but Gas dodged it like it was nothing. Then he hit Arashi so hard, he crumpled to the ground, leaving them with one final cold warning. "Trust me, you and I are both thinking the same thing, this just got real." With his face bleeding, he swore revenge on Gas. The next day, training took a sharp turn when a researcher named Steady showed up. "Alright, let's dive right in." After a quick debrief, Steady drops a bombshell they're going to fight monsters. And not just any monsters, these are inside his private research facility, where he's basically breeding them for experiments. The drill kicks off, and just like that, the hero candidates are thrown into a pit to fight for their lives. But Gas notices something weird. Everyone is way too calm for this insane situation. Shuji tries to step in. He tells Steady the monsters are too strong, but the researcher is like a brick wall. He says Leonora gave the orders. She demanded he be extremely strict, so there was no way he was going to ease up on this training. Not a chance. Steady adds that with their friends, watching losing isn't even an option. Their will to win is everything. Shuji wonders if willpower can really make a difference. Steady explains that with the right training they can level up. Not just level up, but even unlock brand new abilities. That's when Gas steps in, telling Shuji he sees a new power in him. His judgment ability spotted it. Shuji is completely stunned. He immediately asks Steady if he can test it out. Steady is hyped to see it for himself, so he gives the green light. Shuji unleashes it. In a flash, he slices clean. The monster's hand and head are gone. Gas knew right then that armored monsters would never be a problem for Shuji again. He even wonders if his own judgment power got stronger. Meanwhile, Guy realizes Arashi has a new power too. But Arashi keeps it a secret. And you'll want to pay attention because that night Arashi starts making some dark plans. The mission: kill Gas, capture Leonora, and force her to reveal how they can return to their own world. He approaches Narumi knowing he's sick of this place too, and asks him to join the cause for a better chance of success. Narumi hesitates for a second but ultimately agrees to the team up. The next day, Guy finds Shuji training like a man possessed. Shuji admits he still feels weak and desperately needs more power. Guy disagrees, telling Shuji his current strength is insane. He's strong enough to take down half the knights in this world, but Shuji isn't satisfied. He shakes his head. It's not enough to defeat Gas and protect everyone. Guy then asks him straight up what he thinks of Leonora and Gas. Shuji says he knows they're just pawns in a bigger game, but he also believes they wouldn't actually harm them. Guy presses on, asking if he's ready to die for this cause. Shuji's resolve is absolute. 100%. He declares he will be the one to fight, become the hero, and defeat the Demon King himself. In exchange, he'll try to negotiate freedom for everyone else. Guy doubts Leonora would ever allow that. Right on cue, Leonora and Gas walk in. She announces that Steady will be taking over training while she is gone. Steady accepts without hesitation, and the two leaders just leave. Later on their journey, Gas starts questioning Leonora. Did she make the right call? She just calmly asks him why he thinks she didn't. He tells her to stop playing games. He reveals Arashi is planning something. Leonora agrees, confirming she already suspects a rebellion is brewing. So Gas asks what her move is. Leonora says she's just curious to see what they do. We both know that's a terrifying answer. Gas warns that a rebellion from superpowered heroes could be a total disaster, but Leonora seems completely unfazed. Knowing they could never defeat her, she suggests they establish a strict hierarchy to crush the rebellion before it even starts. Leonora also mentions seeing other suspicious things, but she's decided to ignore them for the time being. That night, Kai is battling a monster. He takes it down the same way he did on his first night here. It only took him 13 seconds. He uses his judgment power on himself and sees he's leveled up. Suddenly a new monster attacks, and this one is tough. His blades can't even leave a scratch. Perfect. A chance to test out his newest skill. He activates his new power, which instantly pinpoints the target's weak spot. Once he sees it, he strikes. The monster is eliminated in a flash. It's a decent skill, but Kai knows he needs way more to survive this world. He needs to become untouchable. More monsters keep attacking, but now he defeats them way too easily. He needs a tougher opponent to really test his new power. Just then he hears footsteps. He spots Kaki. He asks what she's doing out so late. She explains she was looking for him because he wasn't in the dorms. Kai tells her to leave, warning that the forest is far too dangerous at night. He might be used to these fights, but Kaki isn't. She cuts him off, demanding to know why he's out here in the first place. He just says he's testing things. He was just checking out his new powers. Kaki wants to know what they are, but Kai just teases her. And that's when she says it. She was actually worried about him. Then she immediately turns bright red and starts making excuses. You and I know what's happening here. Suddenly, as they're talking, smoke billows up in the distance. A fire. Their dorm is completely engulfed in flames. They race back to find other candidates already fighting off monsters. Narumi is just relieved to see them alive. He explains he woke up to find fire and monsters everywhere. Kai instantly knows it's a human-led attack. The mastermind has to be close. Kai orders them to find and capture whoever's behind all this. Just then, Steady appears on the roof, confirming their hunch was dead on. And Kai gets it. It all makes sense now. These are monsters from his own lab. He even juiced them up with special medicine to make them stronger. Kai demands to know his endgame. Why kill all the candidates? Steady just smirks. He says it was a direct order from the top. He had to eliminate every single candidate, even if it cost him his job. He smiles, saying it's nothing personal, but he has to kill every last one of them. They ask if Leonora ordered this. Steady scoffs. Of course not. That vixen wouldn't dare. This was from the Demon King himself. And yep, you heard that right. Steady was the Demon King's spy the entire time. A good job here would even land him a sweet research gig. Kai calls him out. Has he really fallen that far? But Steady just says monsters are beyond anything humans can understand. Then he gives the command. His monsters attack. Kaki throws up a barrier trying to stop them, but it's totally useless. They shatter her spell in an instant and charge. Kai leaps in, saving her just in time, which only excites Steady more. Kai goes on a rampage, tearing through monster after monster. He takes down almost a dozen of them single-handedly. Steady is absolutely furious, especially since Kai's supposed to be weak, so Kai uses his judgment power on him. All his stats are pathetically low, but one thing stands out. Steady has domination powers just like Kaki, only way stronger. That's why her spell didn't work. Now Steady is completely rattled. He resorts to his last option, something he never wanted to use. He warns Kai he's about to find out what it is. Kai lunges, not wasting a moment. But suddenly, a massive red dragon appears, breathing a torrent of fire right at him. Steady's secret is out. A giant, terrifying red dragon. It immediately starts hurling massive boulders straight at them. Kai yells for Narumi to grab Kaki and get out of there, warning that another attack is coming fast. He uses his power, pinpointing the dragon's weak spot on its neck. He tries to strike, but isn't strong enough. But then Arashi shows up, launching an immediate attack on the dragon and bragging about how easy it is. The dragon smacks him back instantly. Kai tells Arashi they need to team up to take this thing down. But Arashi scoffs. Why would he ever need help? So Kai explains he can find the weak spots, but can't finish the job. Arashi stubbornly refuses a rookie's help. But there's no time to argue as the dragon attacks again. It blasts Arashi with another fireball, finally convincing him to team up with Kai. Kai points out the weak spot, a single scale on the dragon's neck. The plan is simple. Kai plays bait, and Arashi goes for the kill shot. Steady screams for the dragon to crush them both as it charges forward, but Kai perfectly draws its attention. Arashi seizes his chance, striking the weak point. The dragon crashes down. With the beast defeated, Kai taunts, Steady asking if he has any more tricks left. And this next part, wild. Steady bluffs about having more monsters, but learns Shuji's team already wiped them all out. He tries to make a run for it, but Narumi catches him in a heartbeat. Kai demands answers. Now, like a coward, Steady agrees instantly. But before a word leaves his lips, his body turns purple, and he drops dead. He was cursed. The moment he tried to talk, the magic killed him. The next day, the candidates confront Leonora. She was the one who put Steady in charge after all. She apologizes, acting surprised. She claims she never imagined such a weak demon tamer could cause this much chaos. The candidates are stunned. She knew he was a demon tamer the whole time. Why would she let him get so close to them? Leonora just says she warned them training would be brutal, and this was simply part of the test. Gas chimes in, blaming them for not noticing a fire in the middle of the night. Leonora then changes the subject. Their next stop is the royal capital. They're going there for a public parade to introduce the new hero candidates. They're the main stars. That night they set off for the capital, and you and I both know this is far from over. As they're eating, Arashi tells his followers that the 30 soldiers with them are basically useless. Arashi declared it was go time, certain they could easily crush the soldiers. He then sent one of his men to summon Narumi's group to their position, but Kai overheard it all. He agreed the soldier count was low but knew why. Gas and Leonora were so confident they didn't think they needed more. A deadly miscalculation. Kai pulls Shuji aside, asking for a private word. Later that night, Arashi and Narumi meet in the forest. Just as they're about to strike, Shuji and the other candidates appear, blocking their way. And stick with me, this is where it all kicks off. Shuji calls him out, revealing he knows the entire plan to kill Leonora and Gas. Arashi is floored. How? His secret was out. The group desperately tries to talk Arashi down, insisting there's a better way than murder. Arashi just scoffs. He asks Shuji if talking is all he's good for, demanding to hear his brilliant plan. Shuji says he'll become a pawn, take down the Demon King, and ensure everyone gets home safe. But Arashi, he's not buying it. He tells Shuji to get out of his way, but the group stands firm. With no other choice, a fight erupts. Suddenly, too, soldiers interrupt, telling them to get to bed for their early start. Arashi storms off, disgusted by their weakness. He's done talking. The next morning, the whole crew arrives at the royal capital. The city is buzzing with people for a massive ceremony. You can see the hope in their eyes as they watch the hero candidates pass by. Inside the castle, a holy knight named Royce greets them and tells them to get some rest. And the royal treatment is legit. We're talking soft beds, hot baths, and incredible food. But Kai knows something is off. He wants to investigate, but guards are everywhere. Then he spots Royce. Reus is telling his soldiers just how strong the candidates are, far beyond any normal kids their age. One soldier worries that bringing the heroes to the capital is just asking for trouble from the demons. But Reus brushes it off, saying the candidates can handle anything. Now pay attention, because Kai isn't buying any of this. Still full of questions, Kai decides to check out the town himself. That night, he slips into a local pub. He orders a drink and just listens. The locals are all talking about the hero candidates, saying they just look like a bunch of kids. Kai also picks up on something else. The people fear the church more than the king himself. He asks the bartender for the inside scoop, pretending to be a clueless newcomer. The bartender tells him all about the Demon King, how he's attacking the kingdom, and can even manipulate humans with his insane power. He even mentions the Demon King's followers blew up a noble's entire mansion just days ago. Kai leaves the pub thinking that bringing them here was probably the worst idea ever. That's when Kaki finds him. He quickly explains he was just scouting for info since they're in enemy territory. Kaki is clearly worried and offers to help. Kai tries to shut her down, but she's not having it. After a little back and forth, he finally caves and lets her help him out. Her mission: gather any intel she can find on the royal capital. Kinzaki heads off, and so does Kai, but they were being watched. A mysterious man smirks as he watches Kaki walk away. Back in his room, Kai comes up empty-handed. His search was a total bust. He found nothing except the feeling that a new enemy was now on the board. Suddenly, he hears a commotion in the hall and steps out to see the other candidates gathered. When Kai asks what's going on, he learns the truth. Kaki is missing. No one even noticed Kai was gone. But when they ask if he knows anything, he plays dumb. Shuji realizes Kaki must be outside the castle. With dawn approaching, they have to move fast. Everyone splits up to search, and soon Kai spots something. Her student ID just lying on the street. The second he touches it, 4 masked men ambush him. But Kai, he's way faster. He takes down 3 of them in a single heartbeat. He glares at the last guy, calling them amateurs. The 4th man is frozen in terror. Kai grabs him, demanding he spill everything he knows. Meanwhile, inside, some hidden castle, Kaki is tied to a chair. 2 spies are grilling her for information, but she's not talking. They keep pushing, trying to get any intel on the other hero candidates. She still refuses to cooperate, so one of them rips her shirt open. What these idiots don't know is that Kai is already inside watching. He uses his judgment skill and immediately sees it. These guys are pathetically weak. Kai can't believe it. How did losers this weak manage to capture her? No more waiting. He moves in and kills them both instantly. You and I know this is a rescue, but Kaki is completely embarrassed to be seen by him like this. Kai breaks her chains, and just as they're about to leave, he freezes. A figure barrels towards them. It's Reigns the Holy Knight. He strikes instantly, but both Kai and Kaki dodge his attack. Reigns just smirks, declaring he's here to kill them both. Turns out he's not just a Holy Knight. He's also a general for the Demon King himself. Kai mutters that this country is toast with enemies this deep in the capital. Using his judgment skill, Kai sees that Reigns is no joke. The guy is a ridiculously powerful all-rounder. They clash again, and Kai barely dodges the blade, only for Reigns to blast him with fire magic, catching him totally by surprise. Somehow, Kai dodges that too. Reigns then sets his own sword on fire, boasting that it's all over now. But Kai's faster. He whips out his gun and puts a bullet right through Reigns' head. The knight instantly drops dead. Kai hates using his gun like this, especially with his limited ammo. But he had absolutely no other choice. He knows he needs to get better at close quarters combat to make it in this world. Kaki is completely shocked to see Kai holding a gun. She admits it's terrifying that a classmate is carrying one. He just tells her it's standard equipment for an assassin. She thanks him, and he asks why she didn't use her power. Kaki explains that once her hands were chained up, her domination ability was completely sealed. As they leave, she says the attackers were targeting their class, but Kai already knows. He got all the info from the 4th cult member he captured. The guy spilled everything. The cult's orders were to kill all the hero candidates, and he even gave up Kaki's location. Their plan was to use Kaki as a hostage to hunt down the rest. But there was a bigger mystery. The death curse didn't kill Kai. Unlike with Steady, this meant only one thing. A demon wasn't the mastermind. Pay attention here because this changes everything. Humans were the ones orchestrating the attack. Just then, Shuji finally finds him. He's relieved Kaki is safe, and Kai quickly explains the whole situation with the Demon King's cult and the human traitors. The worst part. Unlike monsters, they can't just look at a person and know if they're an enemy. This new threat puts everyone on high alert. They decide not to tell Leonora since she'd just tell them to handle it themselves. So they come up with a plan, gather all the candidates, and figure out their next move. Suddenly, smoke bombs go off all around them. More cult members appear and they're completely surrounded. It wasn't just them either. Every other hero candidate group was also being ambushed by these guys at the same time. Kai quickly scans the area. 6 enemies. Their stats are way lower than Reigns, but they're still a serious threat. The 6 men charge. Kaki uses her power to freeze them in place, and Kai wastes no time ending them with knives to the head. Shuji feels a knot in his stomach watching them kill other humans so easily. He starts to object, but Kai cuts him off immediately. They are the enemy, period. Just then, a surviving cultist lunges at Shuji, who tries to talk him down, but the man just yells that he's serving his master. Kaki gets ready to use her power again, but Kai stops her. He wants Shuji to be the one to finish this. Shuji shatters the man's sword and tells him to surrender. But the cultist is stubborn, refusing to back down. He attacks Shuji, managing to injure his hand in the process. Shuji strikes back with a deep slash across the man's chest. The cultist whimpers and Shuji wants to just leave him. But Kai is firm. Eliminate him now, or he becomes a threat later. You and I can see Shuji hesitating, but in the end he does exactly what Kai tells him to. Meanwhile, Arashi and his team have already finished off their attackers. Arashi shows no mercy, finishing the last man himself. But Rina's group is struggling to kill humans, and the other girls are getting hurt. Then out of nowhere, Leonora appears on the scene, asking if she should give them all a passing grade. Seeing her only makes the cultists angrier. She calmly tells them, "You are my candidates." "Of course I would. Come to help you." One of the men scoffs at her, saying she can't do anything without her knight. Leonora just taunts them, calling them amateurs who fell for the Demon King's tricks. To her, they aren't even real enemies. They all charge her at once, but Leonora simply uses her domination power, pinning every last one of them into the ground. They can't even twitch. Rina notes that her power is just like Kenzaki's. "Don't you dare compare me to her," Leonora snaps back. "My domination is superior in every single way." Rina then asks why she even bothered to save them. Leonora just smirks. I did say I was giving you a passing grade, didn't I? The men quickly start thanking her for her protection. One even grabs her dress, begging her not to leave them. Leonora just looks down at him, then apologizes that he's still alive. After that, she turns her domination power on all of the candidates. And trust me, her order is simple and brutal. Kill the men lying on the floor. Their bodies moved against their will, a horrifying puppet show as they executed helpless men. This was Leonora's power. Kai and Kaki watched the whole terrifying scene from a distance. Kaki was absolutely floored. She couldn't believe Leonora could control that many people. Trust me, her power is on a whole other level. 12 hours later, all the candidates are gathered back in the hall. Many of them are completely broken from what just happened. Narumi swears he won't let Leonora get away with this. Not after she forced them to kill against their will. Shuji blames himself for not getting there sooner. But Kai is quick to point out it wouldn't have made a difference. Right now, not a single one of them is strong enough to resist Leonora. Kai knows with the demon army's general gone, they won't be making a move anytime soon. He then pulls Kaki aside to talk. She asks why, and he tells her he needs her help to find a way to counter Leonora's mind control. He needs someone with a similar power to test it, so he asks Kaki to use her domination powers on him. Hearing this, Kaki gets completely flustered and turns bright red. The very next day, after booting the cult members, the kingdom throws a massive parade. It was all to celebrate the summoning of the hero candidates. This parade was solid proof of their power in the recent battle. The people of the royal capital welcomed them with cheers and open arms. When everyone is gathered, Leonora announces they're all going back to the temple city of Alpha. Kai immediately warns the others. He tells them Alpha is the city where they were first summoned. He's pretty sure Leonora has it under her control. Kai asks Leonora if she's coming with them. She says she has some business to take care of, so she'll be leaving them in Gas's hands instead. Rena speaks up, reminding them their dorms were burned to the ground. She then notices one of the girls is pale with fear, unable to even speak in front of Leonora. Leonora just leaves with a smug look, and every candidate is seething with resentment for her. Soon after, Gas leads them on their journey. That night they set up camp and Arashi's crew sneaks off into the forest. Kaki nervously asks Kai if they're really doing this tonight. Kai confirms it. With Leonora gone and the soldiers being weak, this is the perfect opportunity to eliminate Gas. Kai feels no need to stop them under these perfect conditions. He's just going to enjoy the show. Meanwhile, Narumi is luring Gas deep into the forest, claiming to have seen a huge monster. And Gas falls for the bait completely. A monster this close to the capital is a serious threat he has to investigate. Now pay attention. Arashi attacks Gas from behind with everything he has. The hit lands and Gas starts bleeding. Arashi admits that even his strongest attack wasn't enough to kill him. Gas is barely on his feet when he stumbles backward right onto a landmine. A massive explosion rocks the forest. Arashi just grins, revealing the whole thing was a trap set up specifically for Gas. He used his mana to create a shield, but he still took some serious damage. Gas stares, telling Arashi he's deeply disappointed. I never expected you to ambush me like this, he says. In the next moment, Arashi's entire crew surrounds the old man. Realizing how bad the situation is, Gas fires a bright signal flare into the sky. From far away, Kaki and Kai see it too. Kai scoffs. Looks like Arashi really screwed up. You and I both know that flare is a distress signal. Soldiers spot it immediately and rush toward the location, but they never even get close. Kai intercepts them, taking out every single one. Back in the forest, Gas is getting completely overwhelmed by the other candidates. He can barely keep up with all their combined powers. It's not long before he loses an arm, his body covered in blood. Arashi actually gives him a compliment. You're pretty tough for an old man, he says. Narumi then mocks the distress signal, thinking Gas was just buying time. But Gas simply replies, there's no need for that anymore. Just then, Leonora walks in with a casual smile on her face. Looks like Gas is really cornered now, she observes. The other candidates are completely stunned to see Leonora. Meanwhile, Shuji and Reina spot Kaki using her domination power to tie up a group of soldiers. She tells them she's just following orders, but they don't buy it. They know Kaki isn't the type to follow anyone. And here's where it gets really crazy. Kai walks in. She's following my orders, he declares. Shuji is shocked again now, realizing Kai was the one who killed all the guards. Kai explains that Arashi was already busy fighting Gas, so he took care of the guards himself. Shuji and the others are finally starting to understand what's really going on. Shuji asks Kai if he's teamed up with Arashi. Kai just replies that he's only doing what he wants. Then he tells Shuji to go find Arashi instead of bothering him. With Gas down, Shuji's team runs to find Arashi. Leonora just smirks, telling Gas he's lost the fight. He accepts it, admitting that old age is a battle he can't win. But Arashi isn't backing down. He declares he's not running away after everything they've been through. A candidate asks Leonora if she's behind this. And here's where we learn just how broken her power is. She explains her mind control works best under certain conditions. Someone with a massive mana pool is harder to control. But anyone who just relies on brute strength, they're easy pickings. If they can't control their own mana, she can hijack them without even trying. Arashi calls her a coward, saying she wouldn't dare fight them head-on. Leonora just smiles. "I'll deal with you myself," she says, "and I'll break your fangs." In a flash, Arashi charges, but he's way too slow. Leonora summons a giant boulder, sending him flying. Then she effortlessly bends fire, water, and air to her will, wiping out the other candidates. Narumi swoops in, grabbing Arashi and pulling him into the sky. Just then, Shuji arrives with backup. He tells Arashi to stop asking what good all this reckless fighting will do. Arashi just glares back. He challenges Shuji to stop him by force, saying he can't stand his peaceful, naive approach. Shuji asks the others if they feel the same way. Rina immediately steps up, siding with Arashi completely. All the while, Leonora is laughing, finding it hilarious that they're fighting amongst themselves. She points out they're basically staging a rebellion right in front of her. Did they really expect to be forgiven? And before they can even answer, watch this. She summons a massive cyclone, injuring every single one of them. Shuji freezes, seeing everyone get hurt, but Arashi snaps him out of it. He tells Shuji that if he wants to protect them, he has to go all in, or they're all dead. That's when it clicks. Shuji prepares for battle, and Rina and the others follow his lead. Leonora declares it's time for a lesson. She's about to show them the massive power gap between them. Meanwhile, Kaki asks Kai for their next move. Kai says to wait. They'll make their move the second Leonora tries her enslavement magic. Until then, he says they just have to trust the others. Back on the ground, the candidates are fired up. Even a weakened Gas struggles back to his feet, saying he still wants to fight for her. So Leonora fully heals him on the spot, making him stronger than ever and ready for round 2. A wave of pure fear hits the candidates. They barely manage to take him down once, now he's back at full power. But Rina reminds them their numbers have grown. They can still win this. Leonora just looks bored. She tells them to attack whenever they're ready, revealing this whole thing is just another test. If they can't beat her, they have no business calling themselves heroes. And with that, the real battle begins. Gas quickly finds that Shuji's magic sword is a serious problem. Leonora blasts Shuji with a water spell. Rina cancels most of it, but Shuji still gets injured. The other candidates throw everything they have, but none of their attacks even get close to Leonora. Okay, so you and I are about to get the inside scoop. Kai, hidden from sight, uses his judgment skill to analyze Leonora's stats. And he finds it. The weakness. She's a god-tier magician, sure, but her physical defense is shockingly low. One good hit could take her down, but Gas is in the way. Arashi tells Shuji to handle Leonora, he'll keep Gas busy. Shuji agrees, but his magic attacks don't work on her either. Another candidate tosses him a steel sword. Leonora grins. Now he looks like he's ready for a real fight, but the others can't help him. Their powers are useless. And they can't help Arashi either, who's locked in a close-quarters brawl. Arashi is holding his own, because even though Gas is healed, his stamina is still drained. Plus, Arashi is holding back his full power. It's an even match. Meanwhile, Leonora spams ranged attacks at Shuji, making it impossible for him to advance. Shuji knows he has to close the distance to win, but he just can't find an opening. Leonora smirks, admitting she's impressed. There aren't many who can dodge her magic like he can, but it's still completely one-sided. Shuji just can't get close enough to land a single hit. Trust me, you can feel the desperation here. He can't even count on his friends for backup. Shuji finally snaps. He charges forward so fast he literally shuts down her wind attacks. She hits him with earth and fire, but he dodges everything. Alright, stick with me here. Shuji was using magic like a second skin, showing his insane growth, and yeah, she was a little scared. But she still tossed him away like trash. Meanwhile, Arashi was in deep trouble. His powers were completely gone. He had no idea how to beat Gas. A swift strike from the old man slices his abdomen. Arashi was absolutely furious. An old man was owning him. He drops to his knees. Gas tells him this is his limit. But Arashi wasn't done. He roars that he was born to be strong and unleashes a punch that sends Gas to the ground, bleeding from his mouth. Arashi had won. Back with Shuji, he knew he had to get up. His friend's life was on the line. He rises. A dangerous aura starts pulsing around him. Leonora sees his insane stamina but stays calm. She was sure he still couldn't even touch her. She was dead wrong. In a flash, Shuji is on her, managing to cut her hand. She thought it was impossible, but had zero time to think. Now, Shuji was behind her. She blasts him away with water. Then it hits her. He gained instant movement. He flashes again an inch from her throat. But then she utters a single command, kneel. He freezes solid, unable to move. Leonora smirks. She didn't want to use this, but he forced her hand. Now pay attention. Gaia sees her trump card and tells Kaki to move. Leonora admits she wasn't planning on using enslavement magic, but Shuji made her. He lies at her feet, completely unmoving. Other candidates charge forward, but Leonora just commands them to stop, and they all freeze mid-run. Leonora tells them they did great and would all pass. She says she didn't expect Gas to lose, but whatever. He's just a knight, totally replaceable. As long as she controls them, it's fine. The candidates feel their hope just die. They were completely doomed. Leonora then reveals the truth. They were summoned just so she could control them if they got too strong. Otherwise, they'd become a threat. Suddenly, 3 knives fly at her from behind. She dodges them easily. She says she knew he was hiding. It's Gas. He looks stunned. She even noticed someone like him. Leonora snaps back that he felt off from the very beginning. She's disappointed he'd show up for this. Then she commands him to stop. And just like that, Gas is under her spell too. She's busy gloating, when suddenly, bam, a bullet rips through her shoulder. Leonora is completely shocked. How can he even move, let alone attack while under her spell? She knows her magic had him locked down. Before she can react, he fires again, hitting her in the abdomen. This weird weapon confuses her. Guns don't exist in her world. Her defenses are useless against it. He quickly explains it's a gun, and he only has a few bullets left. He doesn't want to waste them. Leonora blasts him with magic, but it only burns his robe. He's vanished. The next second, he's right behind her, a gun pressed to her head. He tells her she sucks at close-range fighting, and more importantly, her enslavement magic didn't work on him. She is absolutely floored. She's in total denial. This was a massive gamble by Gas, and he won big. And you'll never guess the key, Kaki. Here's how it worked. The night before, Gas had Kaki use her domination skill on him. He figured out a loophole. The first skill cast on a target always takes priority over any new ones, so Kaki's skill would block Leonora's. Plus, candidates have a divine protection buff, making their skills stronger than regular magic. Kaki had her doubts, though. Her skill felt way weaker than Leonora's insane power. Shuji's situation was the same. He cast his own spell first, which let him regain control of his monsters. It was a crazy gamble, but it paid off. Back in the present, Leonora realizes it must be Kenzaki's work, and she's right. Gas is under his spell. Gas declares it's over for her and gets ready to fire. But instead of a gunshot, Leonora is captured. They slap a special pair of handcuffs on her that seal her magic. The same kind they used on Kenzaki. She asks Gas what he wants with her. His demand is simple. Send them all back to their world, and he'll let her live. Leonora just apologizes, says it's impossible. She can only summon people. Sending them back requires a totally different spell. Gas knows she's telling the truth. She really can't return them. He then asks how they were supposed to get back after killing the Demon King. She explains it takes huge energy, so they rely on their god for it. The god was the one who actually summoned them in the first place. The god himself was supposed to send them back. But Leonora doesn't sound very sure about that. No previous candidates ever made it home. They were all killed. Any survivors just vanished. A gut punch you and I were not ready for. With Kai about to finish the job, Shuji suddenly steps in, explaining he only helped because he thought Leonora could get them home. Since she can't, he wants to stay a hero. He screams he won't be a traitor. Aren't we already? Kai fires back. Leonora tries to calm things down. She promises to forget everything, but Shuji cuts her off, saying killing a saintess is no small thing. He points out they'd all be executed. Most of the others side with Shuji, except Narumi. Shuji admits, killing Leonora makes sense, but he asks the one question that matters: what happens next? For a second, it looks like Kai gets it. And then in a flash, he shoots Leonora straight through the head. Dead silence. As her body crumples, Kai drops a smoke bomb and is just gone. The other candidates are furious, completely blindsided. But Kaki, she knew. This was all part of the plan. You see, just hours earlier, Kai laid out his strategy for her. Goal number 1 was capturing Leonora. But if that failed, the backup plan was simple: kill her. He predicted this exact outcome. If he returned, Shuji would probably protect Leonora. At that point, Kai planned to kill her and escape. He'd take all the blame, even leaving guards alive to point the finger right at him. He told Kaki to pin everything on him and then head back to the Empire. Kaki didn't think she could do it, But Kai believed in her, even telling her to use her powers to negotiate her way out. She asked where he'd go. He just told her not to worry. Elsewhere, in a dark throne room, a minion reports his failure. He tells the Demon King he couldn't kill the hero candidates. The Demon King just laughs it off. He knows the heroes will make it to the front lines one way or another. For him, this whole thing is just a game, and man is he enjoying it. 2 days later, we find Kai hiding out in a forest. He's near a city, but he can't just stroll in after assassinating a saintess. So he plans a night infiltration. First stop, a tavern looking for info and cash. Someone starts a friendly chat asking where he's from. Kai makes up a story about a nearby town. He says he's looking for work. The man gives him a great idea: become an adventurer. He explains how the guild pays for quests and is so desperate for people they don't even check IDs. Perfect. Kai crashes at an inn, relieved he hasn't been recognized. The next day, he strolls into the town's guild. It's filled with all kinds of rough-looking characters. He heads straight for the counter to sign up. They ask for his name and hometown. He gives the alias Siren, claiming the Demon King's army wiped out his village. Siren, his old code name from his past life. The receptionist explains the rules of the guild. Ranks go from F to A, the higher the rank, the better the pay. As a newbie, Kai starts at F rank. He immediately walks over to the bulletin board to find his first job. And that's when 3 idiots show up, clearly looking for trouble. They start mocking him, but Kai is not in the mood. Just like before, when others tried to warn him off a quest, Kai stays perfectly calm. He thanks them for their concern, and then tells them to get lost. This just makes the guys even angrier. They can't believe his arrogance. And I think you and I both know exactly where this is heading. One of them throws a punch, yelling that Kai needs to be taught a lesson. But to his shock, Kai catches the punch effortlessly. The dude is completely stunned, his fist trapped in Kai's grip. He yells for Kai to let go. Not wanting a scene, Kai releases him. But the bully isn't done. He tells his buddies to jump Kai all at once. Big mistake. They all charge. And Kai drops them in seconds, then casually walks out of the guild. As he leaves, Kai realizes something important. The average adventurer is nothing compared to a hero candidate. They're shockingly weak. With that confirmed, he decides to wrap this quest up as fast as possible. The scene shifts to a forest. According to the quest details, this is kobold territory. Right on cue, he spots some strange animal tracks on the ground. He follows them deeper into the woods. He can sense them now, multiple presences hiding all around him. They're masters of stealth. Yep, definitely kobolds. And just like that, one lunges from the shadows, aiming for a kill shot from behind. Aragi Kai felt it coming and dodged with ease. He spotted the kobold holding a human sword, a bad sign. It had clearly killed an adventurer before. While he was piecing that together, another one jumped him from behind. Another easy dodge. But this time, Kai scooped up a handful of dirt and threw it straight into its eyes. With the second kobold blinded, he slammed the first one right in the face. It hits the ground hard. He snatches its sword and finishes the job. The second kobold could only watch in shock before it was too late. Now here's where we see Kai's real skill. He closes the distance and ends it with a knife. A quick check with his judgment skill confirms it. These things are absolutely no threat to him. He could hunt these all day for some easy cash. Later, back at the guild, everyone is just staring. Aragi Kai had dropped a huge pile of kobold ears on the counter as proof. He asks Mia, the receptionist, if it's enough. She confirms it is, then asks if he seriously did all of this completely on his own. He just calmly says yes. Hunting them wasn't hard at all, he explains. The real challenge, just finding them in the first place. Kai knew his combat skills were insane, but his tracking needed work. The guild members are in total disbelief. How did he make kobold hunting look so damn easy? They start guessing he's a C-rank hunter from another city. Then someone else chimes in. They heard Aragi Kai was actually a total newbie. Mia cuts them off, asking our guy to wait a moment. She heads inside to get his reward. That night we see Aragi Kai walking down a street counting his earnings. He can't believe how much he made just from hunting a few weak monsters. But for now, survival comes first. The plan is simple: stick around, make money as an adventurer. That's the priority. Building a good reputation at the guild would make getting information way easier. But then someone appears, standing right in front of him. Aragi Kai looks the kid up and down and asks what he wants. He can tell this guy is way stronger than the thugs from the guild. The boy introduces himself as Lyle, a B-rank adventurer. And yeah, he's the one in charge of this guild branch. Aragi Kai's response, a simple, "So what?" "Okay, I know what you're thinking. And yes, things are about to escalate." Lyle asks if he's the one who hurt his men. Aragi fires back, telling him those guys started it first. Lial explodes, telling him not to lie. He heard a random rookie beat up his crew. Aragi doesn't even blink. "Yeah, that was me," he admits. That's all it took. Lyle says he won't go easy on him. He throws punch after punch but nothing connects. Aragi Kai dodges every single attack without even trying. Finally, he gets bored and trips him with one leg. Lyle hits the dirt completely stunned. What Aragi tells him, his speed is okay but he's sloppy. His moves are way too big, leaving him wide open. Lyle gets furious and tries to charge in again. He screams, asking what he just said. Kai blocks him again, grabs his hand and slams him into the ground. He points out that Lyle is probably not used to fighting people, since he only ever hunts monsters. Lyle angrily demands to know why he attacked his men if he's this powerful. Kai calmly says he already told him. It was a misunderstanding. He then offers to explain the whole thing from the beginning. A little while later, back at the guild, Lyle is bowing his head, apologizing to Aragi Kai. He admits the fault was all his. He even lays into his own men for lying to him, screaming at them for not being truthful. He forces them to apologize to Aragi Kai. They reluctantly say sorry, and our guy just waves it off. As long as the air is cleared, he doesn't care. But he does have a question. Lyle quickly apologizes again. He promises to answer anything. Aragi explains he's just a traveler, plain and simple. He only became an adventurer to make some money for his journey. But there's another much bigger reason. Lyle, curious about his insane power, asks what he's truly searching for, and that's when Aragi drops the bomb. He says he wants to find a way to travel to another world. Lyle and his entire crew are just frozen. They ask him to explain, wondering if something like that is even real. One of them remembers a rumor that hero candidates actually come from other worlds. And you and I know he just confirmed it's all true. Alright, Aragi Kai is on a hunt for rare magic, and trust me, this isn't going to be an easy find. He hoped. Lyle's crew had a lead, and they pointed him to one name, the sage Elbana Karet. The only question is, who's that? Aragi Kai is completely lost. Lyle can't believe he doesn't know. He explains Elbana Karet was a legendary elf, a being whose wisdom practically built their country. The name clicks for Aragi Kai. He remembers reading about him, an elven sage from old history books. Everyone knows elves live deep in the forests. They're so rare now, they're basically myths. They almost never leave their homes. So an elf who did, and gained that much wisdom, they become a sage. Lyle adds that Elbana Karet is over a century old, famous for his insane knowledge, and for being a master spellcaster who knows all kinds of magic. This gets Aragi Kai thinking. Elves have a deep connection to spirits which fuels their magic. So maybe, even if a hero travel spell doesn't exist, Elbana Karet could find another way. But Lyle's subordinate Raka cuts in. Is this sage Elbana Karet even alive, he asks. I've never heard of him. No one's ever even seen him right. Lyle just laughs it off, admitting he doesn't have that info. He apologizes for not being more help, but Aragi Kai tells him the information was a huge help. He says it's getting late and heads for his inn. Lyle, still curious, asks what he'll do once he finds a way to another world. Aragi Kai just smiles, telling them to use their imaginations. They just watch, confused as he walks away. A week passes. We cut to the guild where Mia is giving Aragi Kai his quest reward. Outside, Aragi Kai realizes a whole week has passed since he met Lyle's crew. He's managed to save some cash. And look who shows up. It's Lyle and Raka. They ask if he's done and want to grab a drink. But with a strangely burdened look, Aragi Kai turns them down. Now pay attention to this moment. Something has changed. Lyle just calls him boring, and they part ways. As Aragi Kai leaves, he thinks about the lead he finally has. He knows the sage's name, Elbana Karet. And he knows the sage was an advisor to the country about 10 years ago. Now Elbana Karet lives near the western border, right in the middle of the war against the Demon King's army. With this info, Aragi Kai knows there's no reason to stick around. It's time to meet this sage Elbana Karet. Meanwhile, the scene flips to the Holy Temple city of Alpha. The hero candidates are all in a meeting. Heinrich, captain of the 8th Night Corps, is speaking. It's been a month since he took command. He's been looking after the hero candidates since the Saints fell. Heinrich turns to Meduji, asking if he has complaints. Meduji immediately says no telling Heinrich, he's doing a fantastic job. Heinrich is pleased. He says the hero candidates are vital to the country, so he treats them with total respect. Hashimoto Mari thanks him, but she can't shake the feeling that he's completely different from Leonora. Something about this whole thing just feels off. Heinrich gets back to business. He announces that at yesterday's meeting they decided to mobilize the hero candidates. Meduji is stunned. He asks if that means they're being sent to the front lines. Heinrich gives a simple, chilling yes. The battles are still raging on the western border. Heinrich rolls out a map pointing to a fort, their new home right on the front lines. Meduji starts to bring up a promise, but Heinrich cuts him off. He assures them he'll keep his word to protect anyone unsuited for combat. Meduji is seriously relieved. Heinrich says he'll give them some tasks for now. Everyone has to contribute, he tells them. They all need to earn their keep. Meduji agrees, knowing that having work to do is practical. Hashimoto Mari asks when they leave. Heinrich's answer immediately. They depart the very next morning. He tells Meduji to spread the word and get everyone ready. Later, Meduji and Hashimoto Mari are walking back. Hashimoto Mari feels a sense of relief. Heinrich actually listened to their request. Meduji agrees. He was worried their demands were asking too much, but he's glad it worked out. Hashimoto Mari thinks the knights lack the confidence to handle them without Leonora. That's why they're being so careful. Meduji agrees. With Leonora gone, the knights must be on edge. Hashimoto then wonders about Aragi Kai. Where could he be? What is he doing? Suddenly we flash back to the past right after Leonora's death. The bishop asks a tense question, who could have killed Leonora, and Nagase Reina drops an absolute bombshell. The culprit, she says, is Aragi Kai. She reveals he was one of the hero candidates. You and I both know this is a lie. The bishop and his guards are in total shock. He demands to know where Aragi Kai is. Nagase Reina just says he ran. Pretty quick on his feet for a traitor. The guards start whispering, debating if they should call an inquisitor right now. Let's be real, you and I know this is where things get messy. They have to confirm if Saintess Leonora is even dead. Arashi Shinshuka is furious. He demands the bishop explain himself. The bishop says he isn't just taking their word for it, even suggesting that maybe all the hero candidates ganged up to eliminate Leonora. Mido Shuji freezes at that accusation. Then Leonora's knight steps up, and this catches everyone off guard. He saw the whole thing. He tells them Mido Shuji and the others tried their best to save her. But Aragi Kai was just too strong, and Leonora was killed. The second knight immediately confirms his story. The bishop finally relents, saying he'll believe them since her own knights are vouching for it. But he asks one more question. Was Aragi Kai really that powerful? Meduji confirms it without a second thought. Aragi Kai had been hiding his true strength this entire time. Intrigued, the bishop invites them to his chambers for a more private discussion, asking one of the hero candidates to join him. But what they don't see is Kanaki Ren hidden behind a wall, using her abilities to influence the guards' minds. Meduji breathes a sigh of relief. Kanaki Ren's quick thinking just saved their skins. Now back in the present, Hashimoto Mori speaks up. He asks Meduji if he's still stressing over Aragi Kai, telling him there's no point in worrying. Meduji just forces a smile. He plays along, but deep down he's a wreck. He knows the truth. Aragi Kai sacrificed himself for every single one of them. Meduji had sworn to protect everyone, but Aragi Kai took that entire burden on himself, and now he feels powerless to do anything. Now pay attention, because this is where the mission gets real. Mido Shuji gathers the group and announces their new orders. They're heading to the front lines. He orders all combat-ready personnel to prepare for departure by tomorrow morning. The mood in the room instantly changes. The reality of facing a real war is finally setting in for some of them. Nagasena walks over, not looking impressed. She tells them it's a bit late to get scared now, reminding them they all chose to join the combat group. Hanoshiori asks if they're going alone. Meduji explains they'll be deploying with the 8th Night Corps led by Captain Heinrich. Kenzaki Ren then asks about Aragi Kai. Has there been any news? Meduji tells her the temple has officially put a bounty on him. They've sent countless people to hunt him down. But he adds there's still no word on his whereabouts. Kanaki Ren looks crushed. The despair is all over her face. Meduji starts to comfort her, but Nagase cuts in, absolutely furious. She yells that she doesn't care if Aragi Kai is a traitor. If she ever finds him, she's going to burn him to a crisp. Kanaki Ren is shattered. All she can wonder is why Aragi Kai didn't just take her with him. The scene then cuts to a dense jungle. All the hero candidates, knights and guards are on a long march. As they push deeper, Arashi Shinuka suddenly feels something. He stops cold. At that exact moment, Honoshi starts complaining that she's tired and demands they take a break. Hashimoto Mori shoots that down immediately. They just had lunch. No breaks. They're walking until it gets dark. A few of the guys start complaining. 2 full days of walking through the jungle for nothing. So far, a total waste of time. Arashi Shinshuka suddenly shouts for everyone to halt. The others look confused. Arashi tells them he can feel something. A magical beast is hiding in the bushes just ahead. Right on cue, a knight stomps over, yelling at the hero candidates. He demands to know why they stopped without his permission. Midoshuji explains they sensed a monster, but the knight just scoffs. He screams that he sees nothing and reminds them he gives the orders. They don't move without his command. End of story. Oh, that was the wrong thing to say. Arashi Shonhuk loses it. He grabs the knight by his throat, asking him what he just said. The knight is terrified, stuttering, asking what he's doing. Even Midoshuji tells Arashi to back off and calm down. But Arashi just screams back, asking why on earth he should listen to some worthless know-nothing knight. Suddenly something lunges out of the darkness at Arashi. He's forced to drop the knight just to dodge the attack. It's a monster. It has the face of a rabbit, but its hands are literal weapons. The guards immediately tense up. "It's a sharp rabbit," one of them yells. They shout for everyone to prepare for a fight. But the rabbits are already moving. They blitz the guards, knocking swords from their hands. One rabbit corners a soldier ready to deliver the final strike. But then boom, a massive fireball erupts from nowhere, completely vaporizing the creature. It was Arashi Shunshuki. He used his power to take out the beast. The guard thanks him for the save, but Arashi couldn't care less. He just tells the soldier to get out of his way. Then Arashi proceeds to single-handedly destroy every last sharp rabbit. Some of the other students are just in awe of his power. It's way more destructive than anything they've ever seen before. But Arashi himself isn't satisfied in the slightest. He knows this level of power is nothing compared to Aragi Kai's. The scene flashes back to that moment, Aragi Kai pointing a gun at Leonora. "You and I know this is the ghost, he just can't escape." Alright, let's dive into a story where a hero's biggest enemy isn't a demon. It's his own ego. Kai never showed a hint of fear, meaning he was definitely the stronger one. Aragi Kai's total lack of any reaction just hammered this fact home for Arashi Shinuki. He thought he was stronger now with all his new explosive power, but it was infuriating to see Aragi Kai was still leagues above him. The scene then snapped back to the present where Midoshuji breaks his train of thought, asking why he looks so ticked off. Arashi Shinuki just shrugs it off, claiming it's nothing. He just hates being ordered around by someone he considers worthless. Soon after, the group makes it to Fort Truss, sitting on the western border of the Digarest Holy Kingdom. First up, Captain Amelia of the Holy Knights introduces herself. She's the leader of their order, stationed right here at the fort. Heinrich immediately asks what happened to their last captain. Amelia's reply is blunt: he died about a week ago. Hearing this, the hero candidates are visibly stunned. She then starts to say she wants them to rest up after the long journey, but she doesn't even finish. Suddenly, guards are screaming, "The Demon King's army is attacking. Yeah, you and I both know there's no time to rest now." Amelia just remarks cheerfully that rest will have to wait. "I'm counting on you all," she says. Midatoy agrees, and tells every hero candidate to gear up for a fight. Arashi Shinuki looks absolutely locked in, ready for war. The bells ring out as the guards shout that the demon army is closing in fast. Max is shocked by the sheer size of the horde. "Why are there so many of them?" he asks. Hinrich barks orders for the guards to open fire. They need to thin the herd before they reach the walls. Arrows and fireballs rain down as the guards and knights unload on the approaching monsters. But even after taking heavy fire, the monsters just keep coming. They roar out, their mission to wipe out all of humanity. Meduji is shocked they're still advancing through all that damage. Amelia explains that these monsters don't go down that easy. She warns the hero candidates not to underestimate their strength and stamina. Humans, she says, are frail by comparison. Tense Meduji turns to Amelia asking for the plan. Amelia tells him to just follow whatever Heinrich commands. She announces she'll be leading the Fourth Order Knights into battle herself. Hinrich adds he was about to give that exact order. But some people are already down there fighting. Meduji asks in confusion who on earth he could be talking about. Nagase Rhea tells him that Hinrich meant Arashi Shunhuki and his crew. They already charged ahead into the fight. Meduji is stunned, asking Nagase Rhea to say that again. As the smoke clears, the monsters see humans standing right in front of them. They all start laughing at Arashi Shinuki and the others calling them fools walking straight to their own graves. But Arashi doesn't care if they're demons. He simply declares he's going to wipe them all out. And with that, the battle ignites. Back at the fort, some monsters smash through a wall and start swarming the guards. Just as a monster is about to land a fatal blow, Meduji zips in, blocking the attack with his sword. Even the guard can't believe his eyes. Meduji then unleashes his powerful sword extend attack, cutting the monster down in a single flash. After that, Meduji feels a wave of confidence. He realizes his power is growing. You can feel that shift, right? This is a whole new Meduji. "We can win this battle," he yells. "Let's fight without fear." Hearing his call, every hero candidate feels a surge and fresh energy for the battle ahead. As Meduji prepares to charge back in, he tells himself not to hesitate. He knows any doubt from him as their leader would only spread panic. He remembers Aragi Kai's lesson about the price of being naive. Hashimoto Mei rallies everyone to stop watching and join Midoshuji in the fight. Nagasar unleashes his special attacks while Kaki Ren starts overwhelming the monsters. The intense battle between the hero candidates and the demon army rages on. Watching from the walls, the guards are in total awe of their power. They are completely dominating the Demon King's forces. Heinrich shouts, telling the guards to give the heroes covering fire so they can push the demons back. The guards roar in agreement and charge forward, beginning a long and brutal fight until the Demon King's army is finally defeated. Amelia joyfully declares their victory, and the fort erupts in celebration. As the sun starts to set, Mido Shuji is deep in thought, but Heinrich interrupts, asking if this was his first real battle and what he thought about it. Miduji admits that a battle this huge is incredibly tough. He explains that his focus became so narrow, it was hard to command. Heinrich gives them props for their hard work, but trust me, this was just the warm-up for what's coming next. He warns them to stay sharp, because they only fought mid-tier grunts. High-ranking demons, that's a whole other level of pain with powers that are off the charts. Miduji gets it, promising Heinrich he'll take that warning to heart as the scene cuts away. Over in the Demon Den, a monster reports his failure to Stonega, one of the Demon King's 4 heavenly kings. He's begging for forgiveness, but Stonega is absolutely furious about the screw-up. Meanwhile, in the great forest of Echot, our guy Aragi Kai is making moves. He's nearing the forest's edge when something rockets towards him, tongues flying out ready to strike. Aragi dodges just in time, spotting a new kind of magical beast his system quickly identifies. They're called tongue baboons. After a quick status check, Aragi just scoffs. Pretty weak. They attack again, but Aragi easily evades. As they close in, he shows off his insane agility. Leaping back to dodge their assault, he prepares for their next lunge. This time, Aragi whips out his knife and slices clean through one of their tongues. The baboons are stunned. He keeps slicing until the tongue is completely severed. One tries a tail whip, but it's way too slow. Aragi dodges and takes it down instantly. The others just freeze up, totally paralyzed with fear, no idea what to do next. Now he's pissed. So you coming to me, or do I have to come finish you? A moment later, he's surrounded by their defeated bodies, but more powerful beasts are appearing. He wonders if this means he's getting closer to the Demon King's territory. Or maybe it's just that the deeper he goes, the stronger the monsters get. Untouched by humans. Good thing his appraisal skill lets him see them coming. From here on out, it's high alert. Sometime later, Aragi finally reaches Mount Uragano, a natural wall slowing the demon army. The highest point is called Reaper Wolf Mountain, where the legendary sage Albama is said to live. He tries to remember if there's supposed to be a small village at the mountain's base. But when he arrives, he finds this. The entire place is engulfed in flames. You and I both know what this means. The village is crawling with monsters. Aragi watches from a hidden spot on a rooftop. This place should have been safe. The monsters ask their leader Hector if they should just wipe out the humans. But Hector stops them. Enslave them instead. Then he asks about their real target, Alana Carrot. A monster confirms the sage lives atop Reaper Wolf Mountain. Hector is annoyed, but their intel was right. He makes it clear the sage Alban Carrot is their #1 priority. Nothing else matters. Hector tells them to camp in the village for the night. Tomorrow, they climb the mountain. But one monster speaks up, worried. Reaper Wolf Mountain is home to the Reaper Wolfen, and these things are wild beasts that absolutely nobody can tame. Ever. Another monster asks why. Simple mind control magic doesn't work on hyper-intelligent beasts. He heard even the 4 heavenly kings couldn't tame a Reaper Wolfen, though they once tamed a dragon. Hector cuts in. He's a warrior, not a mage. Their only option is brute force. They have to defeat this supposedly untamable beast, and his monsters are all for it. Watching this, Aragi realizes how disciplined this group is under Hector's command. He must be a high-ranking demon. Aragi checks his status, and yep, it's confirmed. Hector is one of the Demon King's elite. A direct fight would be absolute suicide. Suddenly, Hector feels like he's being watched and orders his monsters to search the area. Aragi is seriously impressed by his sharp senses. The monsters start looking, but Aragi is calm. His stealth skills are top tier. That's when he spots them captured villagers all tied up. His main goal is the same as the demons find the sage. And that's where he has to make a choice. He's in a race to that mountain before the Demon King's army arrives. We cut to the highest, most deadly peak. Welcome to Oregano Mountain, also known as Reaper Wolf Mountain. Somehow Aragi has made it this high up. The map is useless now. No clear path, so he starts following animal trails. His vision is getting hazy, and the ground itself feels like it's about to give way. Even in a hurry, he knows one wrong step means game over. As Aragi pushes forward, he senses it. A presence. Could it be the legendary Wolfen of Reaper Wolf Mountain? He listens closely, not 1, not 2, but 3 separate sounds. And they're getting closer. Aragi knows these wolves are hidden, but their power feels absolutely overwhelming. Now watch this. He's completely surrounded. Just as they lunge to attack, he makes a split-second leap into a nearby tree. And from up there, Aragi finally gets it. This is why so many people vanish on this mountain. He quickly uses his appraisal skill on the wolves. Their stats look average, but their true strength is in their teamwork. Suddenly, while he's sizing them up, a wolfen smashes into the tree, snapping it like a twig. Aragi has to think fast. He grabs a leaf, channels his mana into it, and unleashes an attack on the charging wolf. In an instant, the beast is sliced, clean in two. As the others lunge, Aragi keeps taking them out with that same leaf. 2 more go down in the exact same way. Now 5 or 6 of them prepare to rush him all at once. This time, Aragi pours mana directly into his own body. He has a feeling that controlling it consciously will make all the difference. Leonora once told him that people who always rely on divine protection are terrible at managing their own mana. In fact, he remembers Leonora saying, "Those who lean on it too much have zero control at all." She called them all weaklings, and that's why she could control everyone so easily. No wonder they couldn't resist her enslavement magic back then. Aragi knew he had to overcome this weakness to get stronger. Mastering mana control was the key. Plus, it would boost his resistance to enemy spells. He also knew mana wasn't as potent as divine protection, but to truly become powerful in this world, he had to master it. So Aragi decides to keep fighting the wolfen. This is his training ground as he climbs the rest of the mountain. Then Aragi senses something, and zips right to that spot. He's heading straight for the pack leader. Once he's there, he calls out the alpha wolf. The other wolves are totally confused by his move, but when the leader attacks, Aragi defends himself instantly and takes it down without a second thought. Aragi looks up. The second their leader fell, the rest of the pack scattered. Of course, he just took out the strongest beast among them. Aragi then takes off after the remaining wolfen alone. Suddenly, something insane happens that completely shocks him. He sees a faint red outline of a wolfen. Is his skill predicting the wolf's next move? He was right. And you and I just saw him unlock a game-breaking power. With this new ability, he instantly takes down 2 more wolves. Aragi realizes this new skill lets him see about 1 second into the future. The last wolves are terrified, but Aragi tells them they aren't going anywhere. He needs them for a little more training. And just like that, Aragi finishes off the entire pack. Checking his status, he sees the new skill, Divine Protection of Foresight. This power lets him see his enemy's future attacks. He remembers his appraisal skill leveled up in the same way, when he got weak point detection. His blessings just went from standard to enhanced, letting him analyze everything. Exhausted, Aragi finally decides to get some rest. But then he senses something huge. Just when we thought it was over, could the Demon King's army be here already? He scraps his rest plan and rushes toward that powerful presence. Meanwhile, near the mountain's peak, monsters have captured an elf girl named Mar. Their leader Hector mocks her, a fierce spirit, saying she fights just like a sage's disciple. But then he declares it's over, ordering his monsters to finish the job. Mare tries to speak, but a monster lunges right for her. In a flash, Aragi appears, sweeping Mare into his arms and dodging the lethal blow. Everyone is in shock. Mare is stunned. A human actually saved her. A confused monster shouts, demanding to know who Aragi is. Aragi quickly takes in the scene. He counts 10 monsters, all led by Hector, a high-ranking demon. Mar then asks Aragi why he would help her. Aragi fires back, asking if she's a disciple of the sage Elbana Karet. When she says yes, Aragi gets straight to the point. He needed to talk to the sage. That's the only reason he got involved. Using appraisal on Mare, he sees she's a half-elf, and he has magic skills. But Hector doesn't care who Agari is. To him, he's just an enemy. He orders his monsters to kill them, both the elf and the human. Agari knows he has to take these things down to save Mare and get some answers. With the sage's protection, the monsters charged, so Agari pops his foresight skill, trying to predict their every move. And his foresight is on another level. He sees every single attack coming, letting him block them all perfectly. The monsters are totally stunned. With a few quick movements, Agari slashes them down one by one. The remaining monsters just watch in pure disbelief. Agari thinks to himself, with foresight active, he's basically invincible. His only concern is just how long the skill is going to last. Meanwhile, Hector switches tactics, telling his monsters to stop charging and use magic instead. They obey, firing a volley of magic bullets straight at Agari. Seeing the incoming magic, Agari tenses up. He knows just how dangerous this is. But then Mare casts a spell, calling on Sylph. The wind spirit appears and blows every single magic bullet away. What a clutch, save Agari is shocked, asking if that was a spell. He realizes only elves can borrow power from spirits. Mare confirms it, thanking Agari for his help. She adds that because of him, the spirits can finally find peace. But Hector, he's furious, roaring that they won't win this. Now you're going to want to see this. He decides to jump into the fight himself. Agari immediately gets serious. He tells the elf to keep the minions busy while he takes on their leader. Mare says she can handle it but tells him to stop. Calling her an elf, that is. Her name is Mar. He agrees, but then calls her the sage's disciple. Big mistake. She gets super mad, yelling her name is Mare, but then just sighs in total frustration, telling him to forget about it. Meanwhile, Agari faces Hector head-on, and instantly realizes this guy is incredibly powerful. After their swords clash, Agari uses Hector's own blade to launch himself into the air, but Hector easily blocks his knife attack. Then Hector instantly counters. But Agari is way too quick, dodging the attack with ease. He even manages to land a slash on Hector with his knife. Hector is surprised he saw that coming, and even calls it a good try. Agari, though, is the one who's shocked. That wound was barely a scratch. He tenses, finally understanding the true power of a high-ranking demon. He knows his foresight is the only reason he's not dead yet. Hector just taunts him, saying if he wasn't human, this fight would already be over. Agari uses his appraisal skill to check out Hector's stats. Not only does Hector have the raw power and sharp senses of a high-ranking demon, he's also got something else. Swordsmanship level 5. Agari knows a direct fight is a huge mistake, even with foresight. He needs a new strategy. Hector yells that if Agari won't come to him, then he'll come to Agari. Still, Agari somehow dodges the rush. Finally, Hector's attack cuts Agari's hand, making him tense up. He realizes that predicting the future means absolutely nothing if his body can't keep up. The physical gap between them is just too big. Hector just laughs, mocking him for running. And then, okay, I know what you're thinking. Agari pulls out a gun, and he starts firing. Hector, with his insane reflexes, actually blocks the bullets with his bare hands. But Agari's relieved. The bullets went right through Hector's hand, injuring him. Now Hector looks completely stunned. He shouts, demanding to know what kind of bizarre weapon Agari is using. What an insolent device, Hector roars. Furious, he charges straight at Agari, who fires back. But this time, Hector easily dodges all the bullets. He warns Agari not to underestimate him, claiming he can predict the bullet's path now. Then Agari runs out of ammo. No more bullets, so he starts throwing knives at Hector. Hector just bats them all away with his sword. Then, to Hector's complete surprise, Agari stops his attack and just sits down silently on the ground. Before Hector can even react to that, Agari hurls a bomb right at him. He charges, wondering what it is. But before he can reach him, the bomb explodes. All the other monsters are in shock. Even Mare is surprised. She wonders who Agari really is, seeing such incredible skill. A human is actually overwhelming a high-ranking demon. Agari stands ready with his knife. He's out of ammo for the handgun, and that grenade he just used, that was his absolute last resort. Seeing Hector get back up, he knows guns and bombs are not enough to win. Hector is beyond furious. Fed up with all of Agari's weird devices, he attacks with pure rage, but Agari still manages to dodge. In that split second, Agari decides to activate his weak point detection skill. First, he has to carefully watch Hector's every move. As Hector gears up for an attack, Agari is already ahead. He sees exactly where Hector will strike, and finds the one perfect weak spot, the neck. He gets into position, knife held steady. Hector charges right into the trap, basically impaling himself on Agari's waiting blade, right into his neck. Hector is stunned. How did he hit him so perfectly? And you and I know exactly why: weak point detection. The skill worked, but it drained his mana completely. Suddenly exhausted, Agari collapses. He realizes he's a sitting duck. And yeah, this is a death sentence. The monsters see Hector is gone, and with Agari out of gas, they decide it's feeding time. Mir is panicking too. Her spirits are spent, but she still wants to help the guy who just saved her life. As the monsters lunge, a massive fire spell erupts from nowhere. The entire pack is incinerated in a heartbeat. Agari knows this kind of firepower is leagues beyond what Nagase Rhea is capable of. Then a voice from the mayor's side apologizes for being late. The mayor is ecstatic, calling her master, and that's when it clicks for Agari. This is Elba Carrot, the sage he's been hunting. Elba thanks Agari, saying it looks like he was protecting her student. Agari quickly brushes it off, saying it was just a coincidence, then asks if she's really the great sage Elbana Carrot. She confirms it, but adds, she's just a frail old woman now. Agari tries to use his appraisal skill, but his mana is still shot. Even without it, he knows she's on another level. He could never win against this kind of power, so he figures there's no point in hiding anything. And you and I know this is where the real story begins. She asks if he has business with her, and he says yes. Elbana notes that nobody just stumbles upon her and thanks him, again for saving her disciple. She promises to answer his questions to the best of her ability. Mir then suggests they leave. The smell of blood will attract wolves. Elbana agrees and invites Agari to come with them. She says he needs rest too. Agari accepts, thinking that helping her disciple was definitely the right move. A little while later, they all arrive at Elba Carrot's house. Once they're inside, Mir immediately announces she's hitting the bath. Agari then asks Elbana why she lives so far out here. Elbana says she has a few reasons, but mostly she just wanted to get back to nature. Even in retirement, people were still constantly trying to use her. Agari gets it, mentioning her home is not exactly an easy trip. She says skilled people like him still manage to find her, and she's not cruel enough to turn away those who genuinely seek her out. Agari decides to cut straight to the chase. He's one of the hero candidates. His mission, defeat the Demon King. Elbana calmly replies that they must be the third generation of candidates. She'd heard rumors but never thought another summoning actually happened. Agari is stunned to learn he's part of the third generation. He remembers Leonora hinted that others had been summoned before him. Elbana Carrot confirms it. They summoned heroes 4 years ago the second time. The first was about 10 years ago. She explains that both previous groups challenged the Demon King, and every single one of them was completely annihilated. After that, the summoning ritual was sealed, meant to be forgotten. But Saint Leonora planned to break that seal and bring over a third wave. Elba was totally against it, calling it madness. To bet a country's future on a kid from another world, even if a god demanded it. Agari then calmly drops a bombshell. He's already taken care of Leonora. And I know what you're thinking, how he explains there's no one left to do another summoning. Elba is floored. How could he possibly defeat the Saintess? Agari just smiles. There's more than one way to beat someone, even if they're stronger than you. Elba bursts out laughing, agreeing with his logic. She finds it hilarious that Leonora was taken down by her own pawn. A fitting end, she muses. She then says she understands Agari's wish to go home. It's a natural desire. She tells him she's not one for small talk and gets straight to the point. Her spells can't send him back. Agari's face falls. He's shocked and totally crushed. He asks if she knows any way for them to return. Elbana explains that summoning with human magic is possible, but sending someone back. That knowledge was lost centuries ago, since no one ever needed to research it. Agari notes that Leonora said the same thing, so they really have no choice but to defeat the Demon King. Elbana says that's likely true, unless demonic arts could do it. The second he hears demonic arts, Agari knows that's his next lead. Elbana apologizes for not being more helpful and thanks him again for saving her student. She promises to let him know if she finds anything. Agari thanks her. Elbana smiles, suggesting that maybe he's the one who could actually defeat the Demon King. Agari says he doesn't want the job, but if there's no other way, he'll just have to kill him. You and I just saw that look. Elbana Carrot freezes, sensing the pure rage and killing intent pouring off him. He's different, almost like he was from a dark, cold world. Finally, Agari thanks Elba Carrot and asks her to contact Siren at the guild, if she finds anything useful. In a surprising move, Elba Carrot decides to let Mayor go with Agari. Just as she finishes her bath, she tells Agari he should probably get cleaned up too after that big mountain fight. Agari agrees, thinking a bath sounds good, but Elbana Carrot suddenly cuts in, saying she has an idea. He asks her what's on her mind, and then she drops the big one. Why don't you take my disciple with you? Mayor is completely floored. Disciple, you mean me? She blurts out. And just like that, the scene flashes forward. You and I are now watching Agari and Mayor already deep inside the Dodora Demonic Kingdom's eastern region. This place is the actual front line in the war against the Holy Kingdom of Digarest. So it seems Agari agreed. Agari notes the weather is surprisingly good since he heard demon territory was supposed to be harsh. Mayor quickly corrects him. They're still in what used to be Holy Kingdom land. The really bad weather is deeper in. The gears start turning in Agari's head. The Demon King's army didn't just fight here, they invaded and took over. Mayor points to a city Nutrat near the Urugano mountain range, explaining there used to be villages all around it. That city, she says with a heavy heart, fell to the demons. It's now the front line, and it's their destination. She figures it's about a 2-day walk from where they are now. Agari is silent for a moment. He hesitantly asks what happened to the people from all those villages. Mayor's voice drops, filled with sadness. She explains the grim reality. Half the people were killed. The other half, enslaved by demons for forced labor. Only a tiny few managed to escape over the mountains. Hearing this, Agari just nods, his face grim. He's impressed by her knowledge, realizing bringing her along was absolutely the right move. But hold on a second. Let's rewind. Because it wasn't that simple. Trust me, here's how it really went down. Agari flat out refused. His rejection shocks Mayor, who yells at him to at least consider it. But Elbana just laughs it off. She tells Agari to think before he speaks. For a guy who's new to this world, Mayor would be a priceless ally. Her family's knowledge passed down through generations is massive. Elbana admits she's been looking for a chance to send Mar on a real adventure, but was too scared to let her adorable disciple go out there all alone. Agari looks confused, asking why she's trusting him with Mare's safety. Why not just go with her herself? Elbana explains she can't go on long journeys anymore. She might look young, but her time and power are limited. Then Agari showed up and saved Mare. Mare tries to thank him, but says she needs a moment to think it all over. But Agari cuts her off. He tells her straight he's infiltrating demon territory, a mission that could easily kill them. He gives her a cold, hard warning: if you slow me down, I will leave you behind. No hesitation. Alana looks at Mayor, reminding her this is her life, her choice. Mayor focuses on those words. Her life. And just like that, we're back to the present. You look tired, Agari tells Mayor. Just so you know, we have another full day of walking. Mayor shoots back. Don't expect much from a spellcaster's body, but she's not complaining. She clarifies that even though she's a magic user, she has been training her body constantly. Agari then suggests they stop and make camp for the night. Mayor is stunned. Didn't you say you'd ditch me if I slowed you down? Agari gives her a look like she's insane. What are you talking about, he says. I wouldn't leave you for that. He then tells her to quit talking and get the camp set up. Mayor, clearly impressed, snaps to it. She says it'll be ready in minutes. Night falls. The two sit by a crackling fire as Mayor eats her food. Agari watches her, a thoughtful look on his face. He reminds Mayor that this journey is only going to get more dangerous. He promises that he won't back down no matter what. He has to get back home. That's his reason. But he needs to know if she has a good enough reason to risk her life alongside him. Was Elbana telling the truth? Does she have her own reasons? Mayor admits it's complicated. She tells him she lost everything she ever had. Her home, the elven village she grew up in, was completely wiped out by the Demon King's army. Agari is shocked. He asks if the war was just between humans and monsters. And here's where we get the brutal truth. Mare shakes her head. The demons, she says, they crush everyone. Then she reveals her father, mother, and her little brother were all gone. Her dad was killed, sacrificing himself just to save her. A brutal memory of helplessness that Mare would never forget. The demon army was gone, leaving her for dead. But that was then. Elbana Karet took her in becoming her master, but Agari cuts her off. He doesn't care. He just wants to know her goal. Mare snaps back that he should have guessed by now. She became a spellcaster, for one reason, to get strong enough to crush monsters. Her eyes are burning with pure fury. You and I are about to see just how deep this goes. Everything for the last 10 years, all of it was for revenge. To kill the one who took her family. The demon's name, Wimberg. The Heavenly King of the Wind, one of the Demon King's top commanders. A member of the 4 Heavenly Kings. Agari asks if she only joined him to get closer. He says for now he has no personal grudge against the demons. Mare admits something else. She has no idea why Elbana Karet let her go with Agari. Honestly, she can't figure out her master's plan. So for now, she's just going to follow his lead. Agari just says he gets it. Then he remembers Elbana Karet telling him to look after Mar, totally sure he could handle it. And it all clicks. Elbana Karet knew his student might just throw her life away on a suicide mission. Mare quickly apologizes for getting so intense, telling Agari not to worry about her. This is her fight, and she doesn't want to drag him into it. Agari knows she's determined to do this alone. He tells her to forget it and get some rest. They have to move out tomorrow. Mare agrees. She sets up some spirits to stand watch while she sleeps soundly. But Agari can't rest. The Demon King's 4 Heavenly Kings. That's a name that keeps you awake. He watches her, then slips out of the tent. His last enemy was a high-level demon. This next one is on a whole different level. They need to get way stronger, but he pushes the thought away. Worrying won't change a thing. Meanwhile, at the Holy Kingdom's fort, the officials are meeting. And this right here is where a whole new front opens up. They decide it's finally time to attack now that the hero candidates are here. The target, Fort Eris. It used to be their own stronghold, now it's the enemy's front line. Taking it back would be a massive victory. Hinrik adds that a blow here will force the enemy to retreat. But Hinrik sees a problem. This is a reckless move. All they've done is defend until now, so why attack? They challenge him, asking if he'd still hesitate with the hero candidates under his command. Emilia admits he has a point, but argues the enemy is underestimating them. A surprise attack could work. She then turns to Midoshuji, asking if he's recovered. He simply nods. He's ready to fight, sword in hand. A little later, Hinrik Midoji and Hashimoto Mari leave the meeting. The plan is set for the next day. Hashimoto is shocked by how aggressive Emilia was. She asks Hinrik if he really thinks this plan will work, seeing how confident everyone is acting. Midoshuji chimes in, saying if they're gonna strike, now's the time while the enemy is regrouping. He thinks it's the right call. But I know what you're thinking, and Heinrich agrees they're way too overconfident in the heroes. He's worried they're putting too much faith in the candidate's power. But orders are orders. They can't defy a command from the top. Hashimoto asks, so we have no choice, right? Heinrich replies that, of course, he'll support them, but the heroes are the key. He tells them to get a good night's sleep. Suddenly, Meduji feels a chill, a bad feeling. But there's no other option. The next day near Fort Arles, everyone is ready. The heroes and Heinrich's team are in position. Nagase wonders why they're attacking in broad daylight. Wouldn't a night assault be better? Heinrich explains that demons have perfect night vision. Attacking in the dark would be suicide for them. Mitoshuji clarifies their one objective: take down the monster leader. The main force will handle the grunts. He reminds them the leader is likely a high-ranking demon. He tells the hero candidates he'll lead the charge. If they get separated, their job is to buy time or retreat. Just then, a messenger runs up to Heinrich. The main force has given the signal. It's time. Heinrich gives the command. Charge, and trust me, you and I are about to watch all hell break loose. They storm the fort without a second's hesitation. Amelia's voice roars, annihilate every last one of them. Now you and I get to see the heroes fight back. Heinrich's team bursts into the fort, straight into the main tower. The monsters inside completely stunned. Meduji absolutely annihilates them in a flash. But Heinrich warns him not to get cocky. The real boss is probably still here. And then suddenly, monsters ambush them from both sides, cutting off their escape. The rookies nervously look to Meduji. Heinrich shouts the plan: stay with the Eighth Night Order, and push forward to their objective. Mitoshuji agrees, calling to Nagasarina. She confidently replies, already knowing her role. Her job: eliminate everything in their path. Nagasarina unleashes her power as everyone attacks. They tear through the monsters, blocking their way. Finally, they reach the huge door, and freeze. A lone figure stands inside, stunning them silent. What is that thing? Sam asks nervously. The figure introduces himself: Stone Gaia, one of the Demon King's 4 heavenly kings. The name alone makes Kakiren and Hashimoto more tense up. Even Meduji feels a chill run down his spine. The aura coming off Stone Gaia is immense. He draws his sword, challenging them all. Mitoshuji tells everyone to prepare, trying to hype himself up too. He knows losing is not an option. Too much has been sacrificed. But as they brace for a fight, Stone Gaia just sits down. He simply touches the ground. Mitoshuji has no idea what's happening. Then a strange orange circle appears. Okay, now pay attention, because this is where it gets absolutely insane. Dirt explodes from the ground, summoning an entire army of golems right in front of them. Stone Gaia orders them to attack. Mitoshuji screams for everyone to hold the line. Narumi Yoshia answers the call and attacks. He uses nature magic, slicing golems with leaves. Arashi Shinuki punches through them with fists of fire. Arashi Shinuki just laughs. No matter how many, they're just too slow. Famous last words. Stone Gaia uses his magic, and the broken golems just completely reform. The heroes are shocked. How is that possible? They keep fighting, shattering the golems, only to watch them regenerate over and over. Raka is nearly crushed by one. Luckily, Kakiren uses her domination ability to take control of a few. But then, a controlled golem strikes back. Hashimoto Mei furiously smashes them with her powerful telekinesis. But moments later, they just start regenerating again. Arashi is getting seriously frustrated. This regeneration feels endless. Then Narumi Yoshia has an idea straight out of a manga. Take out the summoner. He tells Mitsuji they'll hold the line. He needs to confront their leader. Meduji gets it instantly. He and Arashi will take on the summoner. They charge forward, straight for Stone Gaia, ready to end this. But Stone Gaia just smiles, calling them foolish. He uses magic again, pulling stones from the ground and launching them straight at Meduji. Meduji runs, trying to dodge, but the stones are heat-seeking. There's no escape, and he's hit. Everyone screams his name in panic. But Meduji just waves, saying he's okay. But Stone Gaia, I know what you're thinking, but this was all a setup. Meduji was just the decoy. A perfect distraction for Arashi to sneak in from behind. And it worked. He's right there. He lands a massive punch charged with all his flame power. Everyone holds their breath. But as the smoke clears, Arashi didn't hit him. He hit a decoy wall of dust and clay. And then the wall hits back, a solid punch to the gut. Arashi is out cold. Stone Gaia just laughs, asking if that's all the heroes have got. Can they actually beat this monster? Meanwhile, while they fight a heavenly king, our main character Aragi Kai reaches the fallen city, the city of Neutrat. They took a secret route to stay hidden, a single flame lighting their path, deep beneath the city. Mayor got dragged along through the sewers, holding her nose the entire time. But Kai, trust me, this guy's different. He doesn't even notice the disgusting smell. Sneaking through the city sewers, Kai urges her to be patient. They're almost in position now. They have to watch for the demon's insane night vision, especially with all the open areas. Plus, this was a frontline city, which meant security was supposed to be airtight. After a few more minutes in the smelly sewers, they finally crawl their way out. You and I just watched them sneak into Neutrat completely undetected, but there's a catch. They smell absolutely awful. The moment they hit the city streets, Kai gets a terrible feeling. His instincts scream, someone's coming. They dive into nearby barrels, just like in some old-school cartoon. A few seconds later, two guards stomp down the street. One of them is grumbling about being stuck on witch guarding duty. But serving the witch wasn't about your accomplishments. This whining guard might hate the job, but you better believe he was skilled enough for it. Not that it stopped the witch from tearing him a new one earlier. As the two demons wander off, still complaining, Kai and Mayer pop back out. Kai's wondering what the big deal is with this so-called witch. All he knows is she's the demon princess and the new boss of this city. Mayer clarifies she's the Witch of Space and she's their target. See, before this, the sage told Kai to meet the Witch of Space in Neutrat. She might be the only one powerful enough to grant his deepest wish. They're in the right city, but getting to a princess requires a serious plan. They need to avoid a fight they have zero chance of winning. A real assassin gathers intel first, and that's Kai's plan. Mayer promises to keep quiet and just follow his lead to get them through this alive. This fallen city is now a full-blown demon stronghold, a base for them to rest and plan their next big move. Walking through the streets, Kai and Mayer see demon soldiers just hanging out laughing with their friends. Some of them are even getting drunk, in broad daylight acting just like humans and using abandoned houses for shelter. Kai and Mayer quietly take note of the city's whole situation. Mayer, on the other hand, finds it all pretty lame. She wanted action, not this. But Kai figures any intelligent race that can talk is going to live a lot like humans. But up until now, it seemed like a simple mission. What they see next, this is where everything gets dark. The city's former human residents. They're all slaves now, forced to help the demons with chores and building homes. And let me tell you, these demons are not kind employers. They'll grab a stick and beat a human slave for no reason at all. Mayer is genuinely shocked by the cruelty. But it was expected. Demons enslaving humans is common knowledge. So this level of brutality shouldn't be a surprise. Mayer knew this, but seeing it up close still hits hard. A simple beating quickly becomes a twisted game for the bored soldiers. And Mayer can't just stand by and watch. But just as Kai reaches out to stop her, a new presence suddenly appears. A presence he can't ignore. A small voice asks if they aren't demons. It's a young girl with crimson eyes, a fancy dress and two dark horns staring at them with pure curiosity, and Kai totally freaks out. His instincts are screaming because he never sensed this person approaching. He whips out a throwing knife ready for anything, but the girl tells him there's no need for that. She didn't come here to fight. Kai is not buying it. He presses her, demanding to know who she is and how she found them. He was right there watching everything. It should have been impossible for anyone to sneak up on him this close. Kai assumes it must be some kind of demonic art. She then admits she's been watching them since they crossed her detection barrier. Mayer, however, is sure they got in clean. She didn't feel a single trace of mana anywhere near them. But that's the thing. The witch who commands space magic can see literally everything. And Kai finally connects the dots. He uses appraisal, just to be sure. Her name is Isabel Dodora, a master of space magic protected by an evil god. A master of demonic arts and an absolute monster when it comes to raw power. Then Isabel introduces herself properly. She's the 5th princess of the Vidora demonic kingdom. Kai takes a nervous step back. She makes it crystal clear, if they don't answer her questions, she'll just call her entire army to capture them. After all, a human and an elf, sneaking into her city, don't exactly look like tourists. She wants to know what they're up to. Kai knows. A fight here is suicide, so talking is their only move. He begins to explain, warning the princess that it's a very long story. Isabel gets comfortable and tells him to start talking. She's bored anyway. Kai spends the next few hours explaining his entire journey. Finally, Isabel understands his desperate need to return to his world. A sage told him it might be possible with demonic space magic, which is why he came here. Then Isabel just casually confirms it. Yep, sending Kai home is totally possible for her. And this is huge. You and I just witnessed him get the first real clue this whole time. He can't believe the Witch of Space was this reasonable, especially since she didn't act like a demon and had zero hatred for humans. Isabel laid it all out. For the spell to work, Kai needed the exact coordinates of his home world. The answer was right there, but finding them, that was a whole new level of impossible. And you and I know that among countless worlds, one wrong digit means he's lost forever. Sending Kai home was off the table. A heavy silence filled the room as Kai and Isabel just stared at each other. Kai had to ask, was there any way at all to find his world's coordinates? Isabel's answer was grim. There are just too many parallel worlds out there. Finding the right one would be a miracle. Kai used his eye of truth. Yep, she was telling the honest truth. Isabel also mentioned his mortal body was a huge problem. He came here with God's protection, a shield that couldn't be broken. Not even Isabel's insane demonic arts could get through it. God's will was basically trapping him in this world. This meant no going home until he finished the mission. The one to kill the Demon King. But Isabel wasn't so sure about that path, admitting she hadn't really thought it through. Kai didn't get the easy answer he wanted, but now he had a backup plan if things went south. Still, the simplest path was obvious. Kill the Demon King, fulfill the prophecy. Kai didn't say a word, but Isabel could read him like a book. He was willing to use demonic arts to get home, but he knew it would be ridiculously hard. Suddenly Mir cuts in asking why the demon princess was so cooperative. Isabel just rips a hole in space, explaining that even the demon kingdom has politics, and she's just looking out for herself. Kai and Mayer instantly tensed up ready for a fight. And here's where things get wild. Isabel just gives them a dead-eyed stare, wishes them good luck, and steps into the portal she made. She warns them that escaping her city is not going to be easy. Then boom, the rift seals and Isabel Vidora is gone. Mir, who had been holding her breath, finally exhales. Kai couldn't stop thinking about the power of the demon king's bloodline. If they had actually fought, they would have been annihilated. It was a good thing she wasn't looking for a fight. After a lucky break like that, Kai felt like their luck was about to run out. Mayer told him to stop, jinxing it. And right on cue, city alarms start blaring. The two look out the window. Demon soldiers were everywhere, hunting down human spies who had snuck into the city. It was obvious they'd been discovered, and that crazy witch was behind it. First, she wished them luck. Then she immediately sixed her army on them. Her actions made absolutely no sense. Kai just had to accept it. They start bolting, leaping across the rooftops of abandoned buildings, desperately trying to escape the massive fallen city. Kai was a blur of motion, with Mir keeping pace right beside him. Together, they somehow managed to evade thousands of demons on high alert, swarming through the inner city. A quick appraisal showed every soldier was strong enough to be a serious problem. They had to get out. But then Kai just froze. Mir had to slam on her brakes to avoid flying right off the roof. Kai pulled her down, telling her to hide. They looked over at the city square. He felt a mana signature similar to the witch's. He had to check it out. This strange power felt even stronger. And then they saw him. A white-haired demon with skin like porcelain and 3 horns stood among his troops. 2 horns at his temples, and a massive green one in the center. Mir knew this monster. It was Wimberg. Kai never expected such a high-level boss to show up here. He glanced at Mir. She was practically shaking, with pure rage. Now you and I see why following Kai was the right choice for her. Without looking away, she confirmed it. The beast commanding the army was Wimberg, the Heavenly King of Winds, a top vassal of the Demon King. From their hiding spot, Kai used his appraisal skill to check him out. Wimberg's stats were perfectly balanced. He was a master of both wind, demonic arts, and swordsmanship. Plus, his hawk's eye skill pushed his combat power into a whole other league. Kai tapped Mir's shoulder, telling her to cool it. Fighting this guy head-on would be suicide. Luckily, Mir managed to reel in her thirst for revenge. Since their enemy was the king of winds, and wind magic is perfect for detection, they had to be extra careful. Down on the ground, Wimberg's troops were skeptical, asking if there were really any intruders. They had assembled an entire hunting party, based on nothing but Wimberg's gut feeling. So they pushed forward. If they found anyone crushing them, would be the obvious move. Humanity's trump cards, the hero candidates, had been spotted on the front lines, and New City was under pressure to secure the area. One of the troops asked Wimberg why he wasn't on the front lines fighting. Model. Wimberg just replied that holding down the fort was more his style, letting other units handle the messy stuff. But then the wind he'd spread across the city brought back whispers. Intruders were inside. And for Wimberg, if the wind says it, it's a fact. These spies move carefully, but they can't escape his senses. Now stick with me here. He controls the wind, giving him a complete map hack of the entire city. Wimberg orders his men to ready the pursuit unit. It was officially time for a hunt. He knows the witch could have caught these intruders way earlier. She let them pass. And that's interesting. Meanwhile, Mayer and Kai are still running for their lives, using old city ruins for cover. As they hit a street corner, Kai signals Mayer to stop. A demon search party is just ahead, checking every nook and cranny. The demons definitely know someone's around, but they can't seem to pinpoint their exact location. Mayor felt it too, the wind acting strange, making the spirits restless. It had to be that annoying wind search. She could disrupt the wind with her magic, but that would be like sending up a giant flare. For now, they haven't been spotted. They have to play it smart to avoid getting swarmed. Demon soldiers patrol the streets' heads on a swivel. The duo sticks to low ground, but it's only a matter of time. And that time runs out when Mayor's stamina fails getting them spotted. Kai decides to use the city's layout. But for his plan to work, Mayor has to be the decoy. He vaults away without even waiting for her reply. He lands on the rooftops, leaving a stunned Mayor all alone. She starts to complain, but Kai fires her up. He reminds her of their mission. Revenge. Crying wasn't going to get them anywhere. Seeing them split the demons, swarm the elf girl, she looks like an easy target, but a few go after Kai. Mayor finally stops running and turns to cast a spell. She summons fire spirits, channeling the power of a salamander. The demons freeze in their tracks. Before they even realize what's happening, they're nothing but ash. Of course, a spell that flashy instantly reveals her location. Demon battalions are closing in fast. Kai uses this exact moment of chaos to drop in behind the distracted soldiers ready to unleash hell. The first demon falls without a sound. The others in the battalion don't even notice. With swift, clean cuts, Kai turns the demons behind them into nothing but street pizza. The battalion captain finally hears the thuds and spins around to see his entire unit butchered. And for a master assassin, that 1 second of terror is the only opening he needs. The captain calls Kai a coward. Kai's reply is wiping out the rest of them in a shower of blood. Meanwhile, Mayor is still fighting in the streets. She unleashes Undine a massive water spell. The water magic is perfect for the crowded street, slowing down the entire demon army's advance. But even as the raging water slams into them, the demons just keep pushing forward. She's only delaying things. She feels hopeless as the demons just keep on coming until she spots strange splashes in the back. One after another, demons in the rear just start dropping, taken out by a hidden blade. This makes Mayor's job way easier as she pushes back the now shrinking demon force with her spell. Just one quick slash across the throat and it was over. Who could possibly be doing this? By the time one demon realizes what's happening to his friends, it's already too late. A blade is in his skull. His last thought was that he'd just met the Shinigami, the god of death himself. Kai moves through the trapped army now covered in their blood, and gives Mayor props for being a good decoy. Mayor is pleased by the compliment, but it doesn't change the fact that she almost became demon food. All this time Wimberg has been watching, and his patience is wearing thin. His army wants to call for backup, but Wimberg doesn't see the point. Sending more demons would just mean more dead bodies. So the Heavenly King Wimberg decides it's time to handle this little problem himself. Mayor and Kai are almost at the exit when a huge gust of mana-infused wind slams into them. Homing wind missiles shoot right for them, but Mayor calmly summons Sylph, the spirit of wind. Her spell completely neutralizes the attack. Kai braces himself. Because yeah, the real boss just showed up. Wimberg hovers above them, controlling the very air they breathe. He admits these two aren't just simple rats, or watching. Mir glares at the man who ruined her life, her eyes filled with pure, cold hatred. This is it. The moment you and I have been waiting for. Her one shot at revenge. She has to be confident. She's been preparing for this single fight for 10 long years. As Wimberg hovers, the duo draws their weapons. Ready for battle. Kai knows they can't win a long fight against a heavenly king. Not as mortals. They have to go all out right from the very start. Mir agrees without a second thought. Her focus sharpens as she summons Sylph the Wind Spirit. This time, her spell unleashes a storm of wind blades. Potent magic locks onto Wimberg. The Heavenly King just stares, almost insulted by the weak attack. An opponent using wind against him, the King of Wind himself, it's almost laughable. Wimberg figures they're either incredibly brave or just plain stupid. With a single thought, he cancels her magic. His own wind power completely smothers her blades. They don't even get close to his wind barrier. They just vanish into thin air. But Kai sees it an opening. Wimberg just blocked his own line of sight. Turns out, taking advantage of that is not going to be easy at all. As Kai rushes the blinded king, he's slammed by a barrage of sharp, solid wind missiles, stopping him dead in his tracks. From above, Wimberg just laughs, mocking Kai for such a pathetic move. You see, Wimberg is a total master of his craft. He constantly uses a wind search technique, so he never loses track of anyone on the field. Even if Kai finds a blind spot, Wimberg will always see him coming. It's the perfect counter to Kai's assassination style. Good thing Kai isn't fighting this battle alone. He has Mir backing him up. Raising her scepter, Mir starts chanting another spell. Wimberg is about to attack when he notices what the elf girl is doing. His wind surge gives him total battlefield control, but if Mir disrupts that delicate wind flow, his perfect radar will completely shatter. Wimberg can't shake the feeling that this elf knows all his secrets, every single weak spot in his fighting style. Kai gets it now. Mir spent her entire life planning this revenge. That's why she knows exactly how to counter a heavenly king. And with his wind surge down, Kai vanishes, moving to close the distance. Wimberg just scoffs at the arrogance of this human. These basic tricks won't work on him. Kai reaches him, but Wimberg just flies higher into the air. He looks down on Kai, mocking him for trying to fight in the sky, Wimberg's absolute domain. This just got way harder. That flight power is just like Narumi's. Suddenly Mir's voice cuts through. She screams at him to jump again. Trusting her completely, he leaps. This time, a blast of wind magic hits him. It's a massive boost. He's not just jumping now, he can fly. And yeah, Wimberg is officially freaking out. Kai activates foresight and weak point detection, aiming for a one-shot kill. He instantly sees 1 second ahead. The future shows Wimberg dodging, exposing a fatal weak spot right on his throat. But just a moment later, the path to that kill shot completely disappears. Kai has never seen anything like this before. 1 second it's there. The next, it's gone. Wimberg isn't just standing around. He's completely changed his fighting style. He pulls out his sword. It's a thin, straight blade glowing green with raw wind power. He's genuinely annoyed that some random intruders actually forced him to draw his weapon. So Kai is now stuck in the air facing a demon lord who is clearly done playing games. A storm of sword strikes erupts. Without his foresight, he would have been turned into mincemeat. But even with it, the attacks are just too fast. It turns out Wimberg was actually Hector's sword instructor. Hector, the demon Kai, killed back in the mountains. But while Wimberg focuses everything on overwhelming Kai, he makes one critical mistake he forgets about Mir. And that mistake is about to cost him. A massive boulder comes crashing down from the sky, aimed right at his head. Kai uses the opening to pull back and plan their next attack. Even with the odds against them, the two are determined. They will take down one of the 4 heavenly demon kings today. That giant rock. Not even Wimberg's wind darts could have stopped that. Mir clearly has a lot more power hidden away. Kai is starting to realize the depth of her anger, and Wimberg is noticing it too. He quickly puts the pieces together, realizing who these intruders must be. Hector's killer. Mir made that crystal clear, asking Wimberg how it felt to lose someone precious. The demon just laughs, then spots Mir, the only survivor from a village he completely wiped out. She spent a decade practicing non-stop, all for this one shot at justice. And now Wimberg is just taunting her. He's remembering that day, describing every sickening detail. Mir can't believe this monster even remembers her hometown slaughter. But for him, the sound of elven screams was like music. He loved that they cared more about others than themselves, because it meant he got to watch them beg. Their despair was beautiful to him, a total thrill. Furious, the young elf finally snaps and lunges forward. She would have charged right into a trap if Kai hadn't stopped her, reminding her not to fall for such an obvious ploy. He told her he was counting on her spells. She had to stay calm and focused. And just like that, Mir snapped back. She remembered this was a team effort. Kai still needed time to figure out a winning move, but this guy is the kind who'd do anything to win. It was just a matter of time. Wimberg was a beast, covering both close and long-range attacks that hit like a truck. And he realized this duo was a real problem. A mere human was actually trading blows with him. The only explanation he could think of was simple. This mystery guy had to be one of the legendary hero candidates. And Kai didn't deny it. Wimberg, the Heavenly King, always kept track of the strongest fighters from the enemy side. But he'd never even heard Kai's name. A total unknown. After thinking it over, Wimberg decides to play it safe. He'll just drag out the battle, letting his own superior strength grind them into dust. Meanwhile, Kai's foresight skill is running out. Only 3 minutes remaining. And this is where things get crazy. If they don't end this fight now, their chance of winning drops to 0. That's when Mir speaks up, telling Kai she has a plan. He stays sharp, listening as she whispers it. She lays out her strategy. He agrees, but adds a little warning, "Don't drag me down." Pretty ironic, considering it was her plan. Wimberg just watches them, totally amused and completely sure he's already won. But then Kai's energy shifts, locking on like a hungry predator. Wimberg just grins arrogantly, welcoming the attack. The first step of their plan, it's simple. Use wind magic to launch Kai straight into the air. While he gets ready, Mir stays on the ground. She calls on Norm, the Earth Spirit, summoning a swarm of massive boulders that she can control. Mir aims and sends the rocks flying straight for the demon. But Wimberg, a windmaster, just blows them away. The boulders are sent flying into the sky, nowhere near him. But that brief moment of distraction, was all the opening Kai needed. Too bad the demon's reaction time is lightning fast. Phase 1 might have failed, but Mir is not giving up. She takes control of the scattered boulders again. They circle back around, coming at Wimberg from behind. He could easily dodge or use a wind wall to block. This shouldn't have been a problem. But Mir already predicted he would block with his magic. So she calls Syl using her own wind to disrupt his defense. The boulders smash right through the gap. His incomplete wind wall shatters. You and I both know the rocks were never the real attack. Their only purpose was to create an opening in his defenses. With foresight and weak point detection, Kai instantly takes the shot. Wimberg barely manages to raise his sword to block the incoming blade. But Kai's skill with a sword is the real deal. In one smooth move, blood splatters everywhere. Wimberg completely miscalculated. Kai wasn't aiming for a kill shot to the heart. Instead, he aimed for Wimberg's sword hand. With the plan executed perfectly, Kai now has his blade. After grabbing the weapon, Kai instantly leaps back out of the demon's range. Stunned, Wimberg freezes. He misses the attack coming from behind. Boulders slam into him from every direction with huge force. But then, the Heavenly King is completely fine. Not a single scratch. They broke through his guard, but it did nothing. Wimberg was just too tough to take down. Mir is in total shock. She thought their combo would be enough, but Kai stays focused. All he's thinking about is taking the enemy down. He remembers Mir's advice. Wind demons are weak to earth, and she can mess with his wind powers using her own. To beat a monster like Wimberg, they needed a plan they could actually pull off. So Kai tweaked it. Now it was all about creating openings for him to land the real hits. Trust me, he knew this would work better. At least they managed to get his weapon. But Mir is still confused. Wimberg is known for his god-tier wind magic. A close-quarters weapon shouldn't even faze him. Wimberg knew it, and honestly, Kai didn't look like a swordsman at all. Wimberg licks his wound and it heals in seconds. He shoots more wind missiles at Kai, forcing the assassin to use the stolen sword to block. Kai uses this moment to get back in range, swinging that glowing blade. And here's where it gets crazy. Wimberg suddenly can't keep up with Kai's attacks. Every swing of the sword pushes Wimberg back step by agonizing step. Now Wimberg isn't just some random swordsman. He's a master. Getting pushed around by a human like this, absolutely insane. Mir sees her opening and unleashes a wind spell. A simple gust of wind hits Wimberg's legs, instantly knocking him off balance. As the demon falls, he watches Kai perfectly follow his path downward. Wimberg stares into the kid's crimson eyes, seeing his own sword raised for the kill. Refusing to lose, Wimberg pours all his power into his middle horn. It grows hard, thick, and veiny as wind power gathers at its tip, forming a deadly blade aimed right at Kai. But Wimberg was just a second too slow. With one small adjustment and perfect teamwork, the fight was already over. The heavenly demon's head flies clean off. Kai, meanwhile, lands like a superhero. The moment he touches down, his mana is gone, and his foresight vanishes. But Wimberg is still barely alive. Even headless, he can't believe he actually lost like this. Before dying, he asks Kai how he could move so unpredictably. Kai explains he can copy skills with his copycat ability. He literally copied Wimberg's entire fighting style just by watching him. Kai knew nothing about swords, but you and I both know he's not complaining about this new skill. Wimberg figures Kai must be blessed by the god of creation. That power alone makes him humanity's ultimate trump card. Then Kai twists the knife. He tells Wimberg he got copycat after killing his disciple Hector. With his last breath, Wimberg calls his student an idiot for letting an enemy live. Kai sits in the rubble thinking about their next move. He now knows just how powerful one of the 4 Heavenly Kings truly is, and there are 3 more just as strong, not to mention the Demon King. Plus, the king has his own bloodline warriors like Isabel. Kai admits he stands no chance against the final boss. Right now. He looks up and sees Mir approaching Wimberg's corpse, her face completely empty. She asks Kai if it's done, and he just says yes. He then asks her how it feels to finally get her revenge after all these years. And she confesses she feels nothing. She risked it all for this moment, but there's no satisfaction. Only a small sense of relief, like a heavy weight has been lifted. Wimberg is gone, but her parents and the villagers will never come back. She's finally free from her past. Kai admits he was glad Mir was there. Without her perfectly timed assist, he never would have beaten Wimberg. Mir felt the same way. She trained for 10 years for this, but couldn't have done it without Kai's insane power. She was truly thankful for him. Even though it was for a brutal revenge, he still helped her fulfill her life's mission. For Kai, their paths just happened to cross. His help wasn't that big a deal to him. Mir's used to Kai's chill vibe, but she knows sticking with him was the right choice. If she'd stayed with the sage, she would have lost all control. She would have just rushed in and died for nothing. Her master probably knew that all along. With her mission done, Kai asks Mir what she plans to do next. But she hadn't really thought that far ahead. Seeing she's a bit lost, Kai suggests she take her time since elves live for ages. Mir corrects him. She's only half-elf, so her lifespan isn't that long. For now, she just wants to stick with Kai. He asks if she's sure, reminding her his goal is to kill the Demon King. Mir is completely on board with this plan too. She figures if the Demon King is gone, fewer people will have to suffer what she did. Plus, she's ready to stick with Kai no matter what. This time, Kai doesn't push her away. Instead, he just explains their next move. Find as many clues as possible before enemy reinforcements arrive. Mir practically glows with happiness, seeing that Kai is letting her join his quest. So the pair sneaks out of Neutrat City. High above, a spatial rift opens, and there stands the witch, Isabel. With a bored look, the princess watches them disappear into the shadows. And here's the kicker you and I need to see. Isabel has to admit Kai and Mir did better than she ever expected. She thought they'd be useful if they just escaped, but they actually killed Wimberg. Her usually blank expression finally breaks into a smile. With these two, her plans are about to get much smoother. After the city fight, Kai and Mir head for the wilderness, trying to avoid any demon patrols, eventually making it back. They meet Albana high in the mountains, explaining everything that happened. She's just happy they're alive. But taking down a heavenly demon that fast, it absolutely blows her mind. When Meyer starts to speak, the sage cuts her off. Alana already knows. She can sense Mir's deep desire to keep following Kai, and she gives her full blessing, hoping for a future beyond just being companions. With that settled, Alana asks Kai if he knows what's happening on the front lines. He's curious. Now here's where things get serious. It turns out Kai's classmates, the hero candidates, got absolutely crushed. Hearing Maidu and the others lost, Kai immediately wonders who they fought. Albana reveals it was Stone Gaia, a top executive in the Demon King's army, and the Heavenly King of Earth. Same title as Wimberg. That means this guy is an absolute monster. Kai asks the one question that matters: any casualties? Luckily, everyone survived. But their morale completely shattered. For now, Kai decides to hang back and watch. With his new goal of killing the Demon King, he figures he can let his classmates wear down the enemy's forces first. A cold but smart plan to use them all against the remaining Heavenly Kings. Mir then asks if the others are as strong as Kai. He honestly doesn't know. They have the raw power, but if you can't control it, it means nothing. Meanwhile, back at Fort Truss, the hero candidates are a mess. They're bunked down, but the fort's medical ward is overflowing. Soldiers are everywhere, all wounded from that failed assault. Even the supposedly strong heroes are badly beaten. Meidu is covered in injuries while Hanno desperately heals him. He gives her a weak smile, telling her not to overdo it. Her healing magic has its limits. Hanno knows it's risky, but it's the only way she feels like she can contribute. So Maidu just sits there, letting her light close his wounds. Just hours ago, their attack on Stone Gaia was a total disaster. If Hinrich hadn't arrived, they'd all be dead. You could see the damage wasn't just physical, it was mental. Let that sink in. Rina just stares blankly at nothing. Arashi hides his face in shame. Maidu's fist is clenched, shaking with pure frustration and helplessness. He blames himself for their defeat, convinced it was his poor leadership that failed them all. If he'd just been strong enough to beat the Heavenly King alone, none of this would have happened. Over at Fort Arles, the demons are holding their ground. The place looks like a fortress. And up on a watchtower, the commander himself, Stone Gaia, Heavenly King of Earth, is just relaxing. But Kai is already there, spying on the fort from a safe distance, making sure he isn't seen. His eyes are on another level. He can spot a target from hundreds of feet away. Even Mayer is stunned by his vision. Kai can't help it. Every time his appraisal skill levels up, it just gets more and more broken. Honestly, the elf girl is starting to get suspicious about how insanely convenient all his powers are. Back at their camp, Kai pulls up Stone Gaia's insane stats. This Heavenly King is a master of demonic earth, and Art's a defensive powerhouse who also knows his way around a sword. Then Kai activates his upgraded appraisal, and boom, he gets a super detailed breakdown of the enemy's entire moveset. At level 4, appraisal is no joke, showing him all of Stone Gaia's skills. A massive advantage. But his main goal is to test his new weak point detection. He focuses on the demon, but nothing. It just means Kai isn't powerful enough yet to find any openings from this far out. Man, if every enemy just had a glowing weak spot, life would be easy. Still, Kai now has a complete scouting report down to the demon's exact skills. And with Mir's magical talent, she can summon powerful water spirits. This is the key. You and I know what this means. Earth attribute users have a natural weakness to water. It's a classic elemental matchup, but type advantage isn't everything. It all comes down to skill. Stone Gaia might know countless earth arts, but he's probably only mastered a handful. If they can figure out his specialty, Mir can strike that weak point. Since they're already here, checking out another Heavenly Demon's home base is the only logical next step. But back at Fort Truss, the hero candidates are still broken by their crushing defeat, and Midu is taking it the hardest. You and I both know Kai could have flipped the script. But Midu, he refused to lean on anyone but himself. For him, that would be cheating the grind. Just as he's about to scream his resolve to the heavens, his classmates arrive. They know exactly how tough Midu is on himself. Rina especially sees how their class rep tries to shoulder every single burden. Narumi chimes in telling Midu to wipe that depressing look off his face. She reminds him they haven't seen the game over screen just yet. One by one, they all promise him this isn't a fight he has to face alone. He asks if they still trust him to lead, which was a ridiculous question. They all agree he's the best leader they could ask for. Then Narumi says, "What's on everyone's mind?" Midu seriously needs to learn how to rely on other people more. Seeing his friend's unbreakable spirit, Midu finally cracks a genuine smile. Narumi adds that everyone has gotten way stronger, so Midu can finally stop trying to carry the entire team on his back. Just as their pep talk winds down, the reunion gets even bigger when another group crashes the party. It's Arashi and his injured crew fresh out of their sickbeds just to show they're not done yet. The delinquent boss immediately calls out Midu for looking so pathetic. They should be planning round 2 against that rock-headed bastard, he declares. And let me tell you, everyone was shocked that Arashi actually showed up to join the rest of the class. He clicks his tongue, annoyed that they couldn't get the job done in one shot. So now he's ready to follow Midu's orders to guarantee a win against Stone Gaia. The other students are just buzzing to see Arashi finally on their side. With a fresh fire ignited in his heart, Midu declares they're going another round against the demon that completely wrecked them. Arashi definitely likes this new, more determined Midu. But while everyone is hyped up and celebrating, Kaki hangs back watching from a distance. She's glad they're all united, but she's still worried. They have no actual strategy to beat Stone Gaia. Her anxiety disappears the second she hears Kai's voice call her name. She looks over and sees him chilling by the stairs. "Now pay attention here." He tells her to keep it down because he doesn't want to be noticed. Kaki immediately obeys, covering her mouth to keep from squealing with excitement. Kai came to get the full rundown on the battle against the heavenly King of Earth. He grills Kaki for every last detail on Stone Gaia's demonic arts. After her super thorough report, Kai finally gets Stone Gaia's fighting style, especially his golem control. Kai is now certain the demon's entire strategy depends on that one specific demonic art, just like Mayer predicted. But when Kai mentions some other woman's name, Kaki's blood pressure skyrockets instantly. Kai refuses to say more, just thanking her for the intel. Kaki nervously asks if he's going to help the class this time around. Kai thinks about it, but seeing their new resolve, he doesn't want to mess up their team chemistry. So he decides to stick to his usual MO, working from the shadows and handling the dirty work behind the different scenes. A few days pass and Fort Arles is enjoying a moment of peace. Meanwhile, on the outskirts, the summoned heroes secretly gather, gearing up for their second attack. They've also got a returning member, Yumi, a classmate who quit after everything got too traumatic. Yumi was part of Rina's group, and Rina is ecstatic to have her back. And just like that, Kinoshita Yumi officially rejoins the Fort Arles expedition. Some of her classmates ask her why she suddenly came back to the front lines. Yumi explains that after leaving, she heard everyone was in trouble and just had to do something to help. They all jokingly call her a hero for saying her that. But deep down, Yumi is having massive second thoughts. Just 5 days ago, she was working herself to the bone as a waitress at an inn, completely drained every single day. Then, she walked into her room. And you're not going to believe this, Kai is just standing there greeting her like it's totally normal. Maybe it was exhaustion, but Kinoshita just politely says hello back at first. Then, reality hits her. There is a random edgy teenager in her private room. That's when Kinoshita finally freaks out. It takes her a minute, but Yumi eventually calms down and asks Kai why he's there. Kai explains how badly Midu and the class are struggling out on the battlefield. He tells her they desperately need her unique skill, the divine protection of water, and manipulation, to get through this mess. That's why he snuck into her room. Even though Kinoshita already quit the combat party, Kai saw her potential. He knew she had what it takes to come back as a real fighter, thinking she was secretly dying to rejoin her friends. Leonora was the one who ran her off, but that's not a problem anymore. Not after Kai's bullets took care of that witch. With Leonora out of the picture, Kenosha had zero reason to stay away. Besides, time had patched up the wounds in her heart. Turns out Kenosha was also a terrible waitress, constantly dropping plates. The truth, she had been itching to help Nagase and the others. She looked at Kai and couldn't deny it. Still, she was shocked that a classmate was even paying this much attention to her. But Kai set her straight real quick, saying he was just scouting a usable pawn. Kenosha decided to ignore that last part. Instead, she asked how he could join the combatant party when he was a wanted criminal. Kai couldn't officially enlist in the Holy Kingdom's army, not with his record. But being the group's shadow agent, that didn't require a clean background. Just like that, Kai added another piece to his chessboard. Kinoshita was fired up, ready to show her power could actually make a difference. Kaki, quiet as ever, was taking it all in. She had already heard Kai's entire plan, but she felt a little nervous, wondering if Kinoshita's water abilities would be enough to break the enemy's tough defenses. Since Kai wasn't fighting, it was on the class to figure things out themselves. His only advice was to adapt to the situation. Before dipping, Kai shot a message to Midu. He challenged him to show just how much stronger everyone got while he was gone. Back at Fort Arles, Midu met with Kaki to go over their plan one last time. They absolutely could not afford another loss. So, the team meticulously went over their ideas, perfecting every detail of their strategy. From a distance, Mir and Kai watched. She wondered if these kids could actually do it, knowing Kai had a much better plan ready. He was just letting them figure it out, because you don't grow if someone always gives you the answers. With the Demon King as the final boss, his classmates needed a serious reality check. They had the power, but were awful at actually using their gifts. For this battle, Kai would only offer the bare minimum, just a few hints here and there. But what really matters is making your own calls in the heat of battle. Meanwhile, the demon soldiers of Fort Arles were already in position. Thousands of human soldiers under the Holy Kingdom's flag stood ready at the front gate. Captain Amelia was commanding this second assault. On her signal, the kingdom's soldiers charged straight into the demon fortress. The demons on the front lines just laughed, thinking these humans learned nothing from their last beatdown. Amelia yelled at her troops to clear a path so the hero candidates could do their thing. As for the demons, their orders were simple: kill every last invader. The war descended into pure chaos, but the hero candidates pushed steadily through the middle of the carnage. Midu could feel their main target in the fort's tower. The Heavenly King Stanija wasn't hiding. He was flashing his golden teeth, basically taunting them from a distance. Midu felt the demon daring them to try again, and he refused to be humiliated twice. After carving through countless demon grunts, the hero candidates finally made it to the gate and blew it wide open. Arashi's explosion skill is pretty handy for locked doors, like this one. Inside, the party found the golem army Stone Gaia had created. Midu declared their plan had officially begun. Hidden from sight, two figures watched the battle from a crack in the ceiling above. Yup, it was Kai and Mare keeping tabs on everything. Kai was eager to see just how much his old classmates had grown. The hero candidates immediately fell into formation, with Midu and Arashi taking the lead. In front of them, an army of stone golems stood waiting. Midu raised his glowing sword, kicking off their second raid against Stanija. Rina, worried that this fight might be too intense for Yumi, who had only just rejoined the team. Yumi looked nervous, but she held her ground. Mid-charge, she unleashed her divine power, flooding the entire area with tons of water. Now the golems were in serious trouble. Stone Gaia watched as a massive wave crashed over his entire army. The battlefield was theirs, and Arashi dove headfirst into the action. Arashi's punches literally create explosions, perfect for taking out big, slow-moving targets. Midu's sword wasn't the best weapon for this, but he compensated. His raw power and technique were on a whole other level. And the other hero candidates were all pulling their own weight too. They had clearly been training their blessings hard. They might look like background characters, but these guys knew how to smash some golems. And that's what mattered right now. After that first assault, every single golem was submerged in the newly formed pool. Stone Gaia tried to pump energy back into his army, forcing them to rebuild, but the golems were just too wet, making it impossible to put him back together. The hero candidate's plan had worked perfectly. Stonegwa wasn't even worried, though. He was just pissed they brought a water user to the fight. So he closes in. He calls in his last remaining puppets. Up on the ceiling, Mayor and Kai are watching everything unfold. Now stick with me, because this whole brilliant plan was actually Mayor's idea from the start. He had figured out that the rock joints were super weak to water, making the golems unstable. Seeing the tide, turning Midu roars for his classmates to hit them even harder. They have all the momentum now. Yumi, riding that wave of confidence, launches the next attack. She summons a massive tidal wave washing them away. Narumi and the others rush into their effective range. Up close, the golems are gigantic, but the team doesn't flinch. They know the winning formula now. And Stone Gaia, he actually smiles, praising their plan to clear out his minions first. And this is where it gets crazy. He touches the ground and multiple magic circles erupt around him. The Heavenly King unleashes a storm of razor-sharp boulders. He saw his golems as totally disposable, just cannon fodder to filter out the weaker enemies. Now he was ready to show them real, earth-shattering power. He sends the boulders flying straight at the hero candidates, who all freeze in absolute shock. But luckily a few of them can still fight back. Hashimoto quickly uses her telekinetic powers. She stops the boulders in midair, saving the entire team. Then Kaki steps in using her domination skill. She locks the Heavenly Demon King in place. An ability like that is a total game-changer. With Stone Gaia frozen, Arashi charges in ready to hit him with a massive explosion, but a mud wall instantly pops up blocking him. The mud just absorbs the entire blast, stopping it cold. After the smoke clears, it's just Arashi. He's face to face with Stone Gaia, who flashes a smug smile bragging that this much power is nothing, not nearly enough to break his defense. But right then Midu uses his instant movement teleporting to Stone Gaia's side. It's a lethal sneak attack. His sword gleams lighting up the whole room, but Stone Gaia easily blocks it. Even while under Kaki's domination skill, Hashimoto decides to jump back in sending those boulders back. She hurls them with her telekinesis right back at their owner. Narumi sees his chance, adding his wind magic. He creates tons of wind lances, a huge upgrade from the single one he used to be able to make. So now, Stone Gaia is facing an explosion from the front, a master swordsman on his flank, and projectiles raining down from everywhere. And I know what you're thinking, this guy has to be finished. Nope. He summons a giant stone wall to push them all back. But Yumi refuses to let this opportunity slip away, not when they're so close to winning. So she unleashes another devastating water attack. This one packs enough raw power and pressure to shatter the entire stone wall to pieces. Stone Gaia's impenetrable defense is now just a wet mess on the ground. Turns out water is his weakness. With a wide-open shot at the boss, Midu gets ready for another round. And with Arashi by his side, this is a surefire way to deal maximum damage. The combined power of explosions and blades slams into Stone Gaia, almost sending him straight to the afterlife. But this old demon is famous for his defense for a reason. Even with perfectly coordinated attacks hitting him from every angle he was sure he could endure. But his defenses are crumbling. He has no choice left but to go all out. The Heavenly King dumps all his power. All that defensive energy gets focused into one massive attack. The ground shakes and the heroes nearly fall. But at that exact moment, Kai's sharp eyes spot one fatal weak point. He hurls a knife at the demon's forehead. It pierces right through his skull. And just like that, you and I just saw a classic kill steal finish the job. Stone Gaia struggles to stay alive, but he can't. His enormous body crashes down in front of the stunned heroes. Seeing the giant boss finally fall, the whole class erupts into a wild celebration. They're screaming with joy, cheering for Midu and Arashi. They think the two powerhouses secured their victory. But both of them know better. This win wasn't theirs. They both felt someone else jump in at the very last second. Arashi checks the body and finds a throwing knife covered in blood. He picks it up and immediately knows who was responsible for this. Arashi knows exactly what happened, and he is seriously pissed off about it. Midu looks up and sees the source, a small crack in the ceiling. He's now certain Kai made the final move. Arashi still can't stand that sneaky dude. Then Narumi runs over to the supposed MVPs with a huge toothy grin. Midu forces an awkward smile and agrees, knowing he wasn't the true hero here. Their original plan should have worked. But as he got near, Stonegwa Midu felt the demon unleash a terrifying wave of mana. He knew their strategy was a total joke against that kind of power. That's exactly why Kai had to step in at the last second. Hashimoto sees Midu looking totally dejected even after their win. She tells him to get over it and celebrate with the team. Midu tried to explain, but she just cuts him off. The only thing that mattered was that one of the 4 Heavenly Kings was dead. No matter how it happened, that was a massive victory worth celebrating. Midu gets swept up by his cheering. Classmates. Seeing their smiles and hearing their shouts, he finally lets himself enjoy the moment. A win is a win, but the prideful Arashi just can't bring himself to celebrate a victory he knows he didn't earn. His squad, completely oblivious, just keeps hyping him up. Arashi immediately shuts them down. He makes it crystal clear he was not the one who defeated the demon general. One of Arashi's friends who was nearby saw the whole thing go down, but he just figured it was a classic kill steal. Still, the whole team did work to corner the Heavenly King. Midu grabs Stonegua's head and climbs the watchtower. He holds it high for everyone to see, screaming that they've defeated the heavenly king of earth. He then orders the demon forces to surrender, in the name of their fallen leader's blood. The demons instantly broken. Weapons dropped the second they saw it. Seeing their master's severed head was all it took. Captain Amelia seizes the moment, letting out a massive war cry. This sends the human soldiers' morale through the roof. Heinrich is looking pretty beat up, but he's just glad the hero candidates actually managed to pull it off. In the chaos, the humans quickly reclaim Fort Arles, a critical strategic point. Meanwhile, Kai and Mir are watching from the shadows. Mir wonders how the humans even won since their numbers were about even. Kai explains the demon army's structure. It's built entirely around its charismatic leaders. And here's where Kai drops a huge piece of intel you and I need to remember. When a leader falls, their entire army just crumbles. He points out it's the exact same thing that happened when they took down Vimberg. Not a single demon chased them after. Kai sees this as the demon army's single biggest weakness. Mir then asks if Kai should have even dealt the final blow. I mean, his whole goal was to support his classmates from behind the scenes. But honestly, Kai had no choice. Stonega's transformation released this terrifying, murderous aura. If Kai hadn't jumped in, the entire class would have been completely wiped out. Besides, he's an assassin. That's kinda his job. He just hopes Midu and the others understand. He might not show it, but he sounds super protective of his friends. Changing the subject real fast, Kai tells Mir to just call him by his name from now on. Mir is completely stunned by this. The elf girl blushes hard and starts stumbling over her words. After taking a second to compose herself, she quietly asks if she can really call him Kai. He tells her that level of friendship is totally fine by him. Kai turns, getting a full view of Mir's beet-red face. She tries to act cool, but it's not working at all. And with that, Kai has officially taken down 2 of the 4 heavenly kings. That's half of the Demon King's top generals gone. But don't get it twisted, the Demon King has children too. And they're said to be at least as strong as Isabel. So yeah, the road to actually defeating the big bad is still gonna be a long one. Now pay attention, we're jumping to a whole new scene. A beast girl is being hunted down by some shady characters. She's battered and bruised, covered in cuts, but that fire in her eyes is still burning bright. The demons chasing her are impressed by her spirit, but her body is obviously at its breaking point. Meanwhile, a young demon lord gets some huge news from his subordinate. They've finally captured the princess. And with her in their hands, the Beastmen Federation is officially done for. We jump forward 1 week after the fall of the Heavenly King of Earth. Fort Arles is now a human fortress, and the entire kingdom is in high spirits. The army's victory has boosted morale everywhere. The knights are fired up, and the hero candidates are now celebrities. Seen as humanity's greatest hope, the king himself thanks Midu, the class rep, for his incredible leadership at Fort Arles. And Midu gets a huge reward. He's made a lord and an official knight. But the second he gets out of that stuffy throne room, he just wants to go relax. Just grab some tea with his friends. Hashimoto finds it hilarious that their so-called brave leader was so nervous. Amelia even pokes fun at him a little. Heinrich, though, totally understands. Midu isn't exactly an expert on noble life. Good thing they gave him a crash course on etiquette, because you and I both know this is just the beginning of his problems. Midu was just trying not to disrespect the king or screw things over for his class. But Heinrich saw it differently. He thought Midu was getting way too tangled up in the kingdom's politics. As an official knight, he had real duties now. Believe it or not, Heinrich knew noble society cold, making him the perfect tutor. Everyone understood that the church pulled the real strings in the kingdom. In fact, Medus's knighthood came directly from the Pope himself. And about that title, Medidu was now the official captain of the 11th Knight Corps. This new squad was going to be called the Heroes Corps, basically the kingdom's ultimate raid force. Medu couldn't help but wonder if this was real power, or if he was just another pawn for the church. Heinrich just told him that explaining the whole power structure would take all day. But either way, Medu was now on the same level as the other captains, which came with some heavy new duties. Meanwhile, out on the forts, Dej, Meyer, and Kai meet up with Kaki for an update on the local gangs. Kaki adds that Medu was the one who actually pushed for a command position. Meyer thinks it's just a promotion he totally earned, nothing more. But the kingdom was really just turning Medu into a symbol for the people. It also showed everyone that the kingdom had total control over the hero candidates. Bottom line, this was not good news. Luckily, Kai stays laser-focused on his main goal, getting home. Now pay attention, because he can't shake the feeling that the kingdom and Leonora are basically the same. They both see the hero candidates as disposable pawns. Before splitting up, Kenzaki finally asks who the elf girl is, and Kai just casually introduces Mir. Kaki takes one look and feels her best girl status is suddenly in danger. Mir quickly clarifies they're just travel buddies. But when Kaki gets asked the same question, she completely chokes. She tries to say they're friends, but Kai, being brutally honest, shuts that down instantly. He says collaborator is a much better fit. Kaki actually kinda likes that title better. Back in their world, they barely even spoke. Anyway, Kai knows the heroes and are gunning for the Demon King, so he plans to work from the shadows again. Kaki's new role is to be the messenger between him and the rest of the group. But before he can leave, Kaki begs to join him. Kai sizes her up and says no, but secretly he needs her to keep an eye on everyone. A lot of the heroes don't trust his methods, making Kenzaki's intel critical. Putting on her best tsundere act, she just accepts her new mission. She's also the only one who knows the class leader respects Kai. Deep down, Kai just hopes Midu will make the right calls himself. Midu's growth is essential to beating the Demon King. But Kai has a master plan behind all this madness. He knows damn well that fighting the Demon King's army is not a one-man job. Sure, he and Mir took down Wimberg alone, but that victory was way too close for comfort. Kenzaki absolutely loses it when Kai mentions killing another Heavenly Demon King. Meyer's cheerful play-by-play of how they defeated the Heavenly King of Wind doesn't make Kaki feel any better. Okay, can you believe this? The other heroes barely beat Stone Gaia, but Kai did it with just 2 people. Kaki could also feel a special kind of power from Mir, and she couldn't help but compare herself to the elf. She knew her own role against Stone Gaia wasn't that significant. Kai then drops another bomb. There are enemies, even stronger than the 4 Heavenly Kings. Facing them right now would be suicide. Kaki's mission is to watch their classmates and the kingdom. Kai promises to stay in touch, and she gets her new assignment. She's determined to do this for Kai. Before leaving, Kai tells her he has his own plan for the Demon King. Mir runs off with him, giving Kaki a cheerful goodbye wave. That whole conversation lit a fire in Kaki. She couldn't stay a background character anymore. She had to get stronger. Right after Stone Gaia fell, the Holy Kingdom launched a massive invasion into demon territory. The new Heroes Corps sent morale through the roof. They pushed relentlessly, conquering one territory after another. This allowed the Holy Kingdom to seize multiple forts near Urugano Mountain, finally liberating New City. This was all possible because 2 Heavenly Demon Kings died in such a short time. Without Wimberg, the Demon King's logistics chief, their whole army started to crumble. But you and I both know the kingdom had no idea Aragi Kai was the one pulling all the strings. With the campaign done, the hero candidates head back for a massive party. Narumi celebrates hard drinking as much as he wants. The victory banquet is an absolute blast. Here, 15-year-olds are legally adults who can drink. Hashimoto scolds Narumi for underage drinking, then immediately steals his booze for herself. Midu chuckles, but he isn't having as much fun as the others. He's still in his knight armor, showing he's not letting his guard down. But the stress was building, and he was told to take it easy. Even with the win, some noticed the demon army's command was completely shattered. Still, Midu had a bad feeling. The victory felt way too simple. He couldn't shake the idea it was a trap. Rina jumped in, calling him overcautious and claiming the Demon King's army were just a bunch of clowns. But Midu knew better. He knew they only won because Kai was pulling strings from the shadows. Rina just refused to believe that edgy loner Kai could ever pull off something so massive. This ticked Kaki off, who immediately jumped in to defend him. She laid it all out. While they were fighting on the front lines, Kai was busy tearing the enemy's entire backline to shreds. Kaki went on. Their victory was only possible because Kai took down another Heavenly King nearby, completely wrecking their defenses. While some were skeptical, Midu knew she was telling the absolute truth. Narumi just felt weird about having such a powerful hidden ally. Rina was the most vocal doubter, refusing to believe Kai could beat someone that strong. Arashi got dragged into the argument. He was mostly just annoyed these kids interrupted his chicken dinner. He remembered the blade that finished off Stone Gaia, but he just kept eating, refusing to talk about Kai. Hashimoto argued that even if Kai's actions were real, that still didn't make him forgivable. Midu, tired of the pointless chatter, slipped away to ask Kaki something. He wanted to know where Kai was. She wasn't sure, but pay attention here. She knew he was finding his own way to kill the Demon King. Speaking of Demon Kings, let's cut to the western lands of New City, right in the heart of the demonic kingdom. Deep inside a thick forest, Kai is totally surrounded by orcs. He calmly waits for the brutes to make their first move, and they do. But for our guy, dodging attacks from these aggressive, brainless monsters was almost insultingly easy. When another orc lunges forward, it gets a face full of sand. The beast definitely didn't see a dirty trick like that coming. Taking the full blast, Kai tried to follow up with a Thundershock spell hoping to finish it, but he just isn't skilled enough to make it work yet. The spell fizzles into nothing, leaving him wide open. A huge club comes swinging right for his head. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, this could be the end for him. But then someone steps in. A massive wave of fire wipes out the entire orc squad in a single instant. Still, Kai scolds Mayor for overdoing it. She fires back that she wouldn't have helped if his Thundershock hadn't been a complete failure. Kai couldn't believe magic was this hard, especially after his mana control had improved so much. Turns out Kai's natural element is thunder, which is extremely rare. It's fast and powerful, but because it's so wild, it's incredibly hard to control. Honestly, the fact he could even form these spells at all was basically a statistical impossibility. If he just had one of those elemental divine protections, he'd be an unstoppable force by now. But he still needs to practice using thunder. He figures he messed up because the orc was right in his face. When you cast magic, you need a crystal clear image of the power. That's why mages usually aren't suited for close quarters combat. It's just too difficult to maintain focus. But Kai is different. He has to find a way to use magic up close while he's fighting in melee range. Kai knows he'll need some insane new powers to take down the Demon King. That is why he's so grateful Mayor is here, guiding him with her vast knowledge as the sage's disciple. While she's acting all cute, Kai suddenly senses more unwelcome guests nearby. And just like that, a whole new squad of orcs appears. They're surrounded from every direction. But for Kai, this is actually a good thing. With the whole tribe showing up, Kai now has plenty of targets to practice on. A moment later, the crowd gets even bigger. And it's not just orcs this time. All kinds of beasts and demons crawl out of the woodwork to join the party. Ugly monsters swarm in from everywhere, but Kai doesn't care how many there are. He just wants to get some Thundershock practice. This time, his spell actually connects, sending a bolt of lightning right into his enemies. But, besides a quick zap and a crackle, it does almost no real damage. Yeah, it scorched a little fur, but it wasn't nearly strong enough to be a killing blow. At least he landed it. And trust me, you and I both know that's not going to cut it. An orc tries a sneak attack from the side, but Kai dodges with ease. He leaps up into the trees, putting on a show of speed and accuracy these monsters have never witnessed. While they're stunned by his movements from above, the monsters completely miss the deadly rain of blades. Each dagger finds a vital spot, dropping the orcs in a single, messy hit. Kai's daggers are his main weapon. They're infused with mana, and he throws them with lethal precision, a brutal force, but his magic definitely needed some serious work. As he's thinking, a giant white ape tries to jump him. Bad move. In seconds, its blood is painting the forest floor after a clean decapitation. Kai clung to a branch, his mind racing, but then he spotted more trouble. Flying monsters were joining the battle. So what does he do? He drops back to the ground and waits for the perfect opening. Then, with absolute precision, he unleashes a flurry of deadly strikes, taking down every last one. He leaps back into the trees, trying to get some breathing room. But one clever beast just smashes the tree down. The sheer number of enemies was just insane, almost impossible to track. But Kai, he stays perfectly calm. Deep in the horde, one creature stood out, a boss monster. Finally, a worthy opponent to test his new skills on. Kai grips his twin daggers, his eyes already calculating his attack plan. Nearby, Mir was just unleashing a non-stop barrage of magic. She kept hammering the endless waves of monsters with destruction spells. With her power level, she looked totally fine as long as her mana held out. Mir was desperate to break out of this trap. Staying here meant they'd just get worn down. Luckily, Kai agreed. They began their retreat, but not before Kai painted the ground red with monster blood. The two of them ran, moving as fast and efficiently as they could. Not only were there tons of monsters, but their levels were also sky high. This is what you get for diving deep into demon territory. Demons can control weaker monsters, making this land their personal playground. The pair kept running until they hit a dead end, a massive cliff. From that ledge, they saw the entire demonic kingdom spread out under the dark sky. It was a wild, unsettling sight. About a week after that recon mission, things back in the human kingdom kicked into high gear. Riding the high of their last success, they launched another campaign to seize more demonic land. They were feeling confident after their last victory. But this time, trust me, they were walking straight into a nightmare. As they pushed through the woods, their biggest problem wasn't demons. It was the monsters. These things were on a completely different level, both in numbers and raw power. They'd never faced anything like it. While the hero candidates and knights were getting stronger, countless regular soldiers were getting slaughtered. Amelia tried her best to protect them with tactical formations, but they were just getting steamrolled. Heinrich was the first to say it. They were completely outmatched, and the demons hadn't even shown up yet. This could only mean one thing: a powerful demon was nearby, orchestrating this entire attack. And yep, you guessed it. A high-ranking demon was behind the whole massacre. Her name was Elsa, and her goal was simple: to completely shatter humanity's military might. She didn't care about monster casualties. Once the human army was exhausted, the real demon attack would begin. And that moment was now. The Demon King's main army appeared, and Medu instantly told the commander they had to fall back. Commander Amelia realized in a heartbeat they'd been outplayed, and were hopelessly outgunned. Their only chance was to retreat, but that escape came at a bloody price for the soldiers in the rear. Even the demons were shocked. They never expected the humans to be this weak. All it took was this one push, and the humans were already scrambling to get away. The demon soldiers gave all the credit for this absolute rout to their brilliant commander, Elsa. This crushing victory meant humanity would think twice before ever invading again. They'd be terrified. Plus, with the Beastmen Federation now under their control, the demons could focus everything on the human war. Victory felt absolutely certain. Meanwhile, Mayor and Kai watched the whole slaughter unfold from a safe distance. The intel they'd gathered on the Beastmen was already alarming. But Kai, being the info junkie he is, wanted to dig even deeper to understand the full picture. Back with the humans, the Holy Kingdom's army limped back. They retreated to the nearest settlement where medics worked frantically on the wounded. At the same time, the top brass gathered for a crisis meeting. They had reclaimed their borderlands, no problem. But the second they set foot in demon territory, they got utterly crushed. Things were looking grim. They were desperate for any ideas. The biggest issue was the endless monster horde. If they couldn't figure out a way past them, any further invasion was just a suicide mission. They were stunned that the demons were using such advanced strategies and tactics all of a sudden. Before this, the demons fought like brutes. Let's just say the game has completely changed, and not in a good way. They were up against a smart enemy, a high-ranking demon masterminding all the monster attacks. Scout reports said going through the monster-filled forest was possible, but trust me, that was way easier said than done. The forest was massive with only a few paths. Trying to move an entire army through it, yeah, basically impossible. Some knights suggested they should fall back and regroup. Even though they'd freed a lot of territories, their last push came with way too many casualties. They only had themselves to blame, pushing too deep after their victories. Their high morale was their only edge, and now it was completely shattered. Hashimoto stepped up, reminding them all. The Demon King was still the main target. But if that were easy, they wouldn't be in this mess. When asked for a plan, Hashimoto suggested just making the army bigger. But the problem, that would just slow them down. More soldiers would mean more losses, not more power. It was a terrible idea, so Medu pitched something different. Instead of a bigger army, they needed an elite one. Amelia immediately backed him up. After all, their current forces already had the best of the best fighters. Now let's see where this is going. Training these elites would seriously boost their odds of survival. It would take time, but it was their best shot. The knights loved it, but Medu felt a pit in his stomach. Something was wrong with this plan. See, the kingdom's goals and the hero's goals were miles apart. Medu's crew just wanted to kill the Demon King and go home. But the Holy Kingdom, they were more focused on their own internal problems. That's why the top knights were content to just hold the line, afraid of rocking the boat. Their conversation made it clear taking down the Demon King could take years, and they didn't have that kind of time. Amelia's own guess was that they needed 2 years just to recover their strength. Sure, everyone wanted the Demon King gone yesterday, but they just didn't have the power to do it. The knights were just happy to get back the land humanity had already lost. Medu got it, but he was still worried about his classmates who were desperate to get home. After the meeting, Medu, Hashimoto, and Hinrik headed out. The noble captain saw how conflicted Medu was, but he explained that Amelia's choices were what was best for the kingdom itself. To change her mind, they needed more power, which they just didn't have. Hinrik warned Medu not to be reckless. He was blunt, but you and I can see he was just looking out for them. The captain asked Medu a simple question. Did he want to see his friends die? Because being impatient would lead to exactly that. The hero candidates were strong, sure, but they had so much more room to grow. The smartest play was to train, sharpen their skills, and prepare for one final decisive push. Yeah, getting home was the goal. But getting slaughtered by demons was a whole lot worse than 2 more years of training. Medu knew it was true. If Hinrik hadn't saved them from Stone Gaia, they'd all be dead. And don't forget, the demon world creates monsters tougher than even the 4 heavenly kings. The kingdom was betting everything on the heroes getting stronger. Finally, seeing the whole picture, Medu accepted the plan. For him, his friends' lives came first, no exceptions. His resolve became iron. He swore he would get everyone home safe no matter what it took. But telling the others the news, yeah, that didn't go over so well. Their reactions were, let's just say, pretty mixed. Immediately, they wanted to know how long. Hashimoto, looking tense, admitted it would be at least 2 years. 2 years is a long time, but it beats charging in just to get themselves killed. And of course there was one person who absolutely hated this idea. That would be Arashi, who just kicked the table over. He was not having it. He argued that even if they won slowly, people could still die. He screamed that they just needed to kill the demon lord. Anyone scared could just stay behind. Midu yelled back that he didn't want anyone to die, which is why his way was better. Arashi completely lost it. He stomped forward, calling Midu a coward, and winding up for a punch. Yelling, "Let me open your eyes," Midu instantly summoned his holy sword in shield mode. A defensive barrier erupted. The punch was blocked, but the impact still caused a massive, damaging explosion. Smoke clears. A voice cuts through the dust cloud. "You think that's enough to beat me? It's Midu." He argues they need to beat the demon lord together, since they barely handled one of his kings. "Let's get real, we have to train up." Arashi fist still raised fires back. "You think you've won." Suddenly chains erupt, binding them both as Jin's voice orders them not to move a muscle. They both whip their heads around in shock. Jin is pissed. He yells, "Are you trying to tear down the castle?" Midu powers down. "My bad, Kaki." But Arashi just flexes, shattering the chains and calling them annoying. Jin can't believe the energy he just wasted on that binding spell. Arashi digs in, saying they need real battles. Trials are what make you stronger faster. He stares down Midu. "You get that right," Murray steps up. He's siding with Midu. Rina chimes in, "Wouldn't it be better to be safe than totally wiped out?" Hickey adds, "The world isn't that bad and Satoshi doesn't want to die because someone was impatient." Carrie shyly raises her hand. She actually agrees with Arashi. When Rina asks why, Carrie says she gets Midu's point, but she needs to get home. Yumi gets it, everyone feels that way. Carrie's eyes fill with tears as she explains her situation. She only has a sick mother waiting for her alone and worried sick. Now watch this, this is where things get real. Dao also picks Arashi's side. His parents abandoned him and his little sister. He has to get back to her. Shiori looks down, admitting her reason isn't as desperate, but her family must be terrified for her. She can't make them wait 2 more years. Hearing this, the mood in the room just plummets. Midu sees it all. Narumi tries to lighten the mood, boasting he has 3 girlfriends to get back to. Meyer just shakes her head at his nerve. Atsushi smiles, declaring they will always be Arashi's allies. Kina agrees. She says following Arashi is the only right choice. Even a hesitant Akira decides he trusts Arashi's conviction over Midu's caution. Arashi turns back to Midu. They've made their choice. Midu's head hangs low. He's got no answer. What do I do, he wonders. But Arashi is already moving, saying there's nothing left to discuss. He walks straight out the door. "I'm going alone. If you're ready to die for this, come with me." Immediately, his supporters get up and follow. Carrie turns to go too. Rina and Yumi call out her name, trying to stop her. But she closes her eyes, follows her heart, and apologizes to Rina as she joins Arashi's group. Those left behind just watch them leave, their faces etched with worry. Murray asks Narumi why he stayed. He claims they need a liaison. Jean is torn, he wants to follow Arashi for his grandfather, but Shinju told him to stay. Just then, outside, Kai and Mir appear before everyone. A voice screams, "What do you want, you bastard?" The group about to leave instantly turns hostile at the sight of Kai. "Shinju, how dare you show your face here?" Akira snaps at them to chill out. Kai just glances over. But Arashi warns him, "We don't have time for you. If you don't have a damn good reason for being here, you're gonna pay." Kai gets serious. "You're right. I think I should be honest. I want to borrow your strength." Arashi is stunned. "And you and I are about to see why." Just before this, Kai and Meyer were listening from outside. She'd asked him, "Your classmates are fighting. Are they okay?" Kai wasn't sure. Their points are reasonable though. Like Midu said, they can't do this alone. But on the flip side, the Holy Kingdom's strategy is way too passive. And Arashi's right about not waiting 2 years. But his way is definitely more dangerous. Meyer then asked Kai, "So if it were you, what would you do?" He raises his hand. "There are 3 ways to break this stalemate. First, we change the Holy Kingdom's mindset. We force their hand. As long as I can get back to my world, that's all that matters to me." But he knows Midu would never go for that plan. Meyer asks, "What's the second option?" Kai explains, "We do what Arashi wants. We use guerrilla warfare, based on the intel they've gathered so far. And according to Isabel, the Demon Kingdom is fractured. If they cause chaos in the rear, they could spark a civil war. Although he doesn't think Arashi has the finesse for that." Meyer, having seen his temper, totally agrees. "So, what about the third option?" Kai cracks a smile. "We act based on the information we already have. We gather a little more intel. If things go right, we can get help from other factions. It'll force the demon army to move." Back in the present, Kai sits with Arashi's crew around a fire. Arashi scowls. What the hell is a cat tribe princess? Kai answers. She's the daughter of the cat tribe's chief, and it looks like she's been captured. Alright, stick with me, because this guy has info on a key figure in the beast tribe. He casually mentions he got it from torturing demons, so you know it's probably legit. The girls are instantly terrified. Who is this guy, and where did he even get a pistol? Arashi, still munching on meat, cuts to the chase. What's this about a princess? He wants to know what any of this has to do with them or the beastmen. Kinta thinks they sound adorable, but Arashi just snaps at everyone to shut up. Kai lays out the plan. They're heading to the Beastmen Nation in the Southern Territory. It's called the Grandana's Beastmen Federation, a neutral country. But Arashi has doubts. You want help from them, he scoffs. They're just a bunch of demon-fearing cowards. But Kai corrects him. Their soldiers are tough with insane physical abilities and sharp senses. They've pushed back the Demon Lord's army multiple times. So why are they so passive? Because they can defend, but not destroy the demon army, which has been focused on humans anyway. Kai's main point is simple. If the Holy Kingdom and the Beastmen team up, they can win. Now here's where it gets wild. The key to all this is the captured princess. They're going to rescue her, and use her as a bargaining chip. And Arashi's crew, they're the bait. His eyes are dead serious. He wants them to create a huge explosive diversion while he stays hidden. Akira brings up a solid point. Why hasn't the Holy Kingdom already tried to get their help? Simple. The Federation hates demons, but they also hate humans who have always oppressed them. After centuries of being treated as inferior, the Beastmen absolutely despise humans. So asking for their help, yeah, it's going to be nearly impossible. But with the cat tribe princess captured, the situation is perfect for them to step in. Beastmen always keep their promises, Kai explains. Once we save her, we can negotiate. The plan is on the table, and you can just feel how heavy this moment is, right? Arashi loses it. He hates how Kai just waltzes in acting like he knows everything. He struggles with the decision, teeth gritted, but with everyone's life on the line, he caves. Fine, we'll do it your way. And just like that, the mission is officially on. As they head south, Carrie asks if they're even going in the right direction. Kai confirms it. The Federation is south, while the demons are transporting their prisoners north. Their destination is a forest road just south of the Demon Kingdom's territory. Akira states the obvious. They're literally about to infiltrate the Demon Kingdom. The risk is huge, but Kai isn't worried. He's already scouted the routes, even though they're crawling with monsters. As Akira worries about the carriage, Kai brings up another important asset they have: their abilities. Tomoko immediately lights up, excited to use her multi-dimensional space. She's a little shocked. He still remembers her divine protection after all this time. He just tells her an ability that's special is impossible to forget. She's clearly pleased. Turns out Kai has an alias, Shinju, and he's been deep in enemy territory for a while now. He wasn't just hiding. He was searching for a way to get all of them back home. And his conclusion, their only path to victory, is to defeat the Demon Lord himself. So this whole situation with the kidnapped Beast Tribe princess, that's the opening he needed. Arashi, ever the impatient one, cuts in. Why are they moving so slowly? Shouldn't we be prepping a raid? Kai completely agrees. It's time to speed things up. Tomoko stores the carriage and luggage, and the whole group switches to traveling on foot. Suddenly Arashi shouts, "Monsters," and just like that, you and I are jumping straight into the action. A ferocious wolf lunges for Shiori, but Kai instantly moves to protect her. It bites his arm, and its teeth shatter. He smirks. "Sorry, your fangs can't pierce my steel." They're surrounded. Support members get to the center now. The vanguards hold the line while she unleashes a support command. A massive buff hits her teammates. The combat specialists step up newly empowered and start tearing through the wolves. Kari uses her control magic, shouting, "Stop as vines, shoot out," to bind a wolf. Ino rushes in immediately and lands the finishing blow. At the same time, another wolf lunges for Arashi, but he just calmly reaches out and grabs it by the neck. "Trash, you're nothing to me." With a single blast, the wolf is completely charred. Arashi tosses it aside and asks if anyone's hurt. Kai watches, thinking everyone's handling this well. I don't need to step in. It's good that Eraser is finally showing some leadership. He then reminds the group, if you're hurt, get to Hano for healing. But then Kai senses something else approaching. Mayu, he calls out. A sharp-fanged wolf had been hiding. It lunges for Arashi from behind, catching him off guard. Still one left, Mayu yells. Fire salamander. A wave of flames incinerates the wolf instantly. Atsushi is blown away by that firepower. Kina yells, "Look, it's totally roasted. She's way stronger than Naga, isn't she?" Arashi just clicks his tongue. So unnecessary, Shinju's girlfriend. Mayu blushes hard at that, pointing right at Kai. Who's his girlfriend? Kai, completely unfazed, just says. Show some gratitude. She just saved your life. Arashi gives him a skeptical look while Mayu stares at Kai, waiting. But he just walks away. I don't care about stuff like that, she retorts. This isn't trivial, Atsushi says, totally envious. Kenta agrees. Yeah, I want to find a gorgeous girlfriend here too. After the fight, the girls walk over to Mayu. Hey, you're Mayu, right? Want to hang out with us? Are you a sprite? Mayu looks to Kai for help, but he's not giving her an out. What are you looking at me for? Do what you want. She breaks into a huge smile and says, okay. Kai feels relieved, seeing Mayu finally starting to fit in. A little later on a cliff, Arashi asks, you sure they'll come this way? I'm not waiting around for days. Kai activates his appraisal eye, scanning the valley below. He spots them. Tiny figures moving in the distance. Don't worry, I see them. Okay, you and I need to see what they're up against. Kai's power reveals 3 low-level demons, 15 mid-level and more in the wagons. But among them, there's one that stands out. A level 36 demon named Zaganda, a high-ranking officer. His stats are all A and B rank. This dude is a beast. His skills are serious too, level 4 wind magic and level 2 demon fire and enslavement magic. Arashi chimes in. So, a high-ranking demon is their leader, right? Kai nods. Probably. But don't underestimate him. He's not as strong as Stone Gear, sure, but a high-rank demon is still a huge threat. Hearing that, Arashi's expression hardens. Leave him to me. If you get in my way, I'll kill you too. Kai just glances at him. I was planning on leaving him to you anyway. The strategy is simple. First, Eraser hits them with an explosive shot to break their formation. Once they're scattered, we surround them. Everyone else move in teams of 3. Kai keeps laying out the plan. Inio and Zanagi, your job is to protect Hano. The two give a nod. Next, Oki, you find and escort the wounded. He replies, leave it to me. Kai turns to Mayu. You provide support from the rear. Eraser, you take on the high-ranking demon. While you're fighting him, I'll sneak in and grab the princess. I'll signal you once she's safe. Everyone else just adapt to the situation. If it gets too hot, you have permission to retreat. Arashi looks confident. Don't worry. Once I blow their leader's head off, the rest of them will scatter. Kai looks at him. All right, battle is your command then. But someone in the crowd isn't having it. You should know we're only here because you need us. Kinta shouts, that's right, what's with this high and mighty act? Atsushi points at Kai. Don't you dare order Arashi around from behind them. Arashi roars, shut up you idiots, and knocks their heads together. He steps forward. Hurry up and get ready. We're going with his plan. Now let's see what the other side is up to. Zaganda is on patrol when one of his demons complains, I'm exhausted, boss. Ever since we left that 2-people territory, Zaganda snaps back, we're almost there, don't get lazy now. But he's thinking, I knew this would be a pain. It's so tiring. Zaganda closes his eyes. This horse has been killing my back, but I can't let my soldiers see any weakness. Then he gets an idea. That's right. I should go check on our prisoner. He turns to his men. I'm gonna go see what that girl is up to. Keep a sharp lookout. His soldiers just think the old man is trying to sneak off for a nap. Inside a carriage, a beast woman is tied up Princess Sina. Zaganda walks in and slumps down by the door exhausted. Finally, we're here. He rubs his chin looking at Sina. So princess, what do you think? We're almost to the city. The city where you'll be locked up for good. Your Federation soldiers can't save you now. Sina just glares back. This carriage. The ride gets bumpy. He stops surprised and clears his throat. But don't you worry. If the Federation listens, we'll let you go. But Sina shakes her head, it's useless. Now that I'm your captive, the Federation will never bow. He smirks, telling her she clearly doesn't understand her position. She fires back. If you think kidnapping me is going to work, you're a complete idiot. Zaganda's eyes flash. Watch your mouth. He grabs her shirt and rips it right open, shocking Sina. Then this creep sticks out his sick, twisted tongue. Let me have a taste. I'll show you exactly where you stand. But the princess doesn't even flinch. Zaganda reaches for her, when suddenly a massive explosion rocks the carriage from outside. Startled, he pauses and rips back the curtain. What is going on? A demon soldier scrambles to report. Sir, we're under attack by humans. Humans. Another explosion sends the carriage flying. Zaganda leaps onto his horse. Counterattack, don't be afraid. Both sides smash into each other. Atsushi and Kinta are a whirlwind of destruction. Kai and the others fight back to back. Zaganda watches the battle nervously. Am I actually losing? Arashi casually rolls his shoulders and steps right in front of him. You're a high-ranking demon, aren't you? Zaganda summons his spear. And who the hell are you? Arashi just grins, clenching his fists. I don't need to tell my name to trash. But hey, put on a good show and maybe I'll reconsider. That insult sets Zaganda off. He roars and charges. Shut your mouth, the likes of you are nothing. He unleashes a huge attack. Arashi leaps up and throws a punch. Zaganda blocks it with his spear. You think you can beat me with just this much power? For a second, you can see the worry on Arashi's face. Zaganda thrusts, forcing Arashi back. He keeps his distance. Arashi winces. This guy's strong, but not as strong as that times other times guy. I just need more energy. My blast move takes a ton of it. I've only got 7 shots left. If I overuse this divine power, my body will start to fail. I have to make an opening and aim for his head or heart. He crouches down, placing a hand on the ground to set a trap. Meanwhile, Zaganda is thinking these guys are human and they wield divine power. Could they be the legendary hero candidates? He spins his spear. If they're the ones who took down Windbox and Stoneguire, I need to be careful. How did they even find me? They're here to rescue the Beast Tribe's princess. Good thing I posted guards on her carriage. Zaganda's eyes narrow. Time to end this. I just need to take out their leader. He charges straight at Arashi. I'll settle this with one strike. Lightning thrust. The attack is blindingly fast, but Arashi just barely dodges. He looks at his torn clothes, shocked at Zaganda's pure speed. Arashi refocuses. The demon is riding his horse straight forward, right where he wants him. He smiles. Welcome to my minefield. Arashi unleashes Mind Blast and a huge explosion erupts under Zaganda. What is this? The blast terrifies his horse. Zaganda is singed. Is that a trap skill? Damn it, I can't see anything. Arashi charges through the smoke. Mind Blast is just a distraction, but it created the opening I needed. He appears right behind Zaganda, his hand glowing bright red. Now I just need to hit him with my real blast. But before he can, Zaganda's eyes flash. Got you. A powerful vortex of wind erupts from his spear. Wind thrust, Arashi grimaces. He can't dodge it completely. The attack sends him flying. His teammates yell out his name. Arashi stumbles up, clutching his gut. That hurt. Focus. On the mission, everyone. Zaganda mocks him. You can't even use your energy to defend yourself anymore. But he's still on edge. This kid's instincts are like a wild animal's. I've figured out his style. He sets explosive traps. Anything he touches, he can detonate. Zaganda dismounts confident. As long as I keep this spear between us, I've already won. Arashi's face hardens. Yeah, I bet that's what you're thinking. Zaganda unleashes another wind thrust, forcing Arashi to dodge again. He smirks. This distance is perfect. From here you can't touch me. Arashi asks him. So you think you figured me out? Zaganda smiles back. Obviously. You're always moving around. Arashi just raises his hand. That's right, but you're the one who's wide open. He unleashes his skill, Cannon Blast, firing a massive beam of pure energy. Zaganda's eyes go wide with shock. The blast creates a huge crater. Zaganda lies there, unmoving, blood pouring from his mouth. Arashi stands over him, his coat whipping in the wind. And a window pops up. Name Eraser Sunsuk. Age 17. Divine Protection, Explosive Blast. He's got Mind Blast level 2 and now Divine Protection Cannon Blast level 2. Plus his physical strength is already level 4. Mayu is speechless. He just soloed a high-rank demon. Stick with me because one death just flipped this entire battlefield on its head. The demons are panicking. We took down a general, don't let up. He unleashes a support buff, and everyone's weapons start to glow. Their damage spikes, and the crew launches an all-out assault, tearing through the now leaderless demons. Kai, daggers in hand, approaches a single carriage. This has to be it. He moves in and pulls back the curtain, and inside is Sina, her clothes torn. The princess looks up. Human, are you here to help me? Kai just stares back, still deciding. He pulls out a dagger, gets closer, and slices through her ropes. She wipes her face, asking what his real goal is. Kai's reply is ice cold, the same thing the demons want. I'm using you to get what I want. Sina rubs her wrists. Blunt, aren't you, Kai? Doesn't even flinch. Why lie? You want me to say we're heroes here to save you? Sina lowers her hand. No, but if that's how it is, then you won't mind if I fight back. And just like that, her hand begins to change. Now pay attention. It erupts into a demigod beast form covered in fur and deadly claws. Her eyes go cold. Kai leaps back just in time. Sina attacks in a complete frenzy, swiping with claws, meant to kill, but he evades. Weapon ready, he admits she's fast. They clash hard. So this is the power of a beastman. Her barrage is relentless, but he's blocking every single attack. Finally getting bored, he just yells, jolt, and lightning crashes down on Sina. Her eyes go wide with shock. She slams face first into the dirt, and Kai instantly pins her down. Just a basic lightning spell, he thinks. Weak but useful. Sina grits her teeth. How is a human this strong? Kai narrows his eyes. Finally see the power gap. You have 2 choices. 1, control yourself and come with me. Or 2, I make you obey me. Knowing she's outmatched, Sina gives in. Fine. Better a human than a demon. Meanwhile, Arashi's group is finishing up. They've crushed the enemy. Only one monster is left roaring in pure terror. It's sweating, thinking, who are these guys I can't win? They're the real monsters here. Arashi just smirks. He gives a nod to Kiori Tsunami, who summons a magic circle. Glowing vines erupt, grabbing the monster's legs. They pull it flat. Arashi walks over, grabs its chin and squeezes. Give your demon lord a message, he growls. We don't have a problem with him. We're just gonna take his head. Later, the whole team regroups. Arashi holds up some meat. They had a ton of food in that carriage. Kina takes a bite. We eat good tonight. Okay, let's pause. From a life or death fight to a feast. I love this squad's energy. Sina, though, is hesitant. Kai calls her out. What's wrong? Not hungry. Sina is practically drooling but stops herself. Am I allowed to eat? Arashi rips off a huge chunk of meat. Been forever since I ate this well. Kai sips his soup, glancing over. He looks at Sina. We still need you for our plan. You dying would be a problem, so eat. Hearing that, Sina doesn't hesitate. Thank you. One bite and her face lights up. Pure bliss. So good. The girl next to her beams. Right, Hanno's cooking is the best. Hanno looks embarrassed. The mayor then asks, your name is Sina. How exactly did the demons even capture you? Sina goes quiet, then finally starts to explain. I was hunting in the forest and ran straight into the demon lord's army. She remembers the scene clearly. Deep inside Federation territory. Demons should never be there. Sina pauses. Does that mean they knew where I would be? Kai calmly connects the dots. Or they're already planning to invade the Federation. Grabbing you was just one part of the plan. Kaori asks why. The girl next to her chimes in. They invaded the Holy Kingdom. Guess they want the whole world, right? Sina nods. That is exactly their plan. But you're human. What do you want with me? Kai doesn't sugarcoat it. We need you as a bargaining chip. We want to team up with the Federation to take down the Demon Lord. Sina looks at him skeptical. Destroy the Demon Lord, are you for real? Arashi cuts in. We've got our reasons. Then he explains it. We can't get back to our own world until he's dead. And finally it clicks for Sina. I see. So you're the hero candidates. I heard you were summoned. Kai presses her. So if you help us, for real it would be a huge help. Sina nods. I understand. I owe you for saving me. Kai immediately shuts that down. We weren't planning on rescuing you. Sina is stunned but doesn't argue. Well, you did save me, and you gave me warm food. Sina lays out her own position. Besides, to purge the demons from the Federation, I need support. It's just my intuition, she says, but I think there's a spy in the High Command. And you and I know that changes everything in the Federation. And that's where we're going to leave it for now. But I gotta ask, what do you think? How would you rate this series on a scale of 0 to 10?